Welcome to the Fantasy Audiobook. Global Lifespan Lottery. Only I can designate the rewards. Chapter 1. Brothers. Breaking news. Chen Liang just drew the immortality pill from the green turntable. What the hell? The green turntable needs 10 years of life before it can rotate, right? The key is, the longevity pill drawn from the green turntable can extend your life by at least 100 years, right? 10 years of hard work and 100 years of hard work. This is a real profit. What a pity. Hey. It's a pity that Chen Liang is just like us, just a tumor worm raised in the lot club. To put it bluntly, the longevity worm is the lifespan storage of the strong. Everything we draw out with our own lifespan, no matter whether it is good or bad, must be handed over to the club. The longevity pill that Chen Liang drew will only be ruthlessly taken away by the club. There is no way it will fall into his own hands. Hey. Don't be so pessimistic. Although the longevity bug has a humble status and the things pulled out by the turntable do not belong to you, at least you don't have to face the vicious beast. Even if the ferocious beast is drawn from the turntable, the boss of the club will be responsible for dealing with it, so the tumor worm has no worries. Anyway, I think it's good to be a tumor bug in the lot club. At least my life will not be threatened. Even like Chen Liang, the club will reward those who draw the elixir of longevity. After Chen Liang draws out the longevity pill, he should be able to live in a single room with a better environment. He will no longer suffer from hunger in the future. Tisk. What's there to be envious about living in a single room? What's there to be proud of being a tumor worm? A gangster with tattoos on his arms was lying lazily on the straw mat, his eyes full of contempt. It's true that tumor bugs like us don't have to face the threat of vicious beasts and monsters, but living in this dirty underground garage is basically just eating and waiting to die. Our lifespan will only be continuously consumed in the process of starting the turntable, and there is no chance to extend our lifespan. If this continues, sooner or later you will die at the end of your life. Look at that piece of trash in the northwest corner. He only has a lifespan of more than a year. He doesn't even dare to turn the turntable. He's been hungry for how many days? And if we continue to mess around like this, there is a high probability that it will be his turn to end up like that. Let me tell you, we should follow Gao Cheng's example. Gao Cheng draws a reward of +1 for all attributes from the carousel and becomes an official member of the club directly. Although after becoming a formal member, you have to go out and fight monsters, but at least you have the ability to control the wheel rewards by yourself. If you're lucky, you might be able to grow up along the way and change your destiny forever. The tattooed man couldn't hide his excitement when he mentioned the words, "Change your destiny against the will of heaven." However, another boy wearing black-rimmed glasses sneered and retorted. I heard that on the wheel where Gao Cheng drew all attributes +1, the other 9 options all had negative effects. The effect of all attributes +1 accounted for less than 0.1% on the wheel. Gao Cheng can draw a bonus of +1 for all attributes from that turntable. It's just because there is smoke rising from the ancestral grave. I don't know how many lifetimes he has cultivated this blessing. In this lot club, the wheels on which we, the longevity bug, can draw the lottery are basically the kind of garbage wheels that have a particularly large proportion of negative effects. Wanting to pull something good out of the garbage carousel and change your destiny? It's simply a fool's errand. Gao Cheng's situation is just an exception. It's not something we ants can imagine. When the tattooed man heard this, he couldn't find a reason to refute it. Indeed, the idea of changing one's fate by turning the wheel is a wonderful one. But it's so unrealistic. The fate of these tumor worms raised by the club. There is a high probability that they can only eat and wait to die. Those with better luck can at most draw out the immortality pill like Chen Liang and then change to a better living environment. When you die at the end of your life, you can be more dignified. Oh, what a world. Weak people do not deserve dignity and illusions. What are you guys talking about? The atmosphere is quite depressed. A powerful voice suddenly came from the direction of the entrance to the dirty underground garage. In an instant, all the longevity bugs, lying lazily on their respective straw mats, stood up. Welcome warmly like a hero. Brother Liang is back. I heard that Brother Liang took out the immortality pill. Is it true? Brother Liang, the welfare benefits should be improved this time, right? Will he not come back to our underground garage again in the future? Chen Liang, who is admired by many stars, is just a young man who looks like a college student. He looks ordinary and smells sour that he hasn't taken a shower in half a month. But at this moment, his face was glowing and he even burped. Faced with the adulation of these low-level, tumor bugs, he raised his chin slightly and said proudly, "It was indeed a fluke that I drew out the green quality elixir of longevity. Boss Sun agreed on the spot to increase my benefits. I, Chen Liang, will never come to this underground garage again. I came here this time because the meal rewarded by the club was so rich that I didn't finish it all by myself. The rest will be given to all the brothers." Oh ho ho! Well done to Brother Liang. A burst of fierce cheers immediately sounded in the underground garage, as if Chen Liang was their reborn parent. These tumor-bearing bugs, usually don't have enough food or clothing to keep them warm. Only by spending your lifespan to open the carousel can you exchange materials from the club. Being able to enjoy Chen Liang's leftovers is a great joy. Sure enough, when the dining car rolled in, even though the plates on it were filled with leftovers from Chen Liang's meal. But the tumor bugs in the underground garage swarmed in like refugees who had not eaten for half their lives. Some were so hungry that they even started to grab them. And this chaotic sound. Finally, a thin young man was awakened in the northwest corner of the garage. Zhang Yi narrowed his eyes with difficulty. "I just feel weak and weak all over. There is still a sour and rotten smell in the air. What the hell? Wasn't he obliterated by a flash of golden light when he spent a million years of life to activate the golden turntable? How can you still be conscious? Could it be hell? The environment in this hell is really bad." Zhang Yizheng was thinking, but suddenly a figure blocked the light in front of him. Immediately afterwards, something seemed to hit him. The thing had a scent that made Zhang Yi's mouth secrete saliva uncontrollably. At this time, his mind was somewhat clear. "I was so awake that there was only one word left in my mind. Hungry. So hungry." He clearly felt the feeling of his whole stomach shrinking into a ball and his chest touching his back. He doubted he could eat a whole cow. Just as he was thinking about it, the figure standing next to him said with evil intentions, "Zhang Yi, for the sake of your classmates, Brother Liang, I brought you a dog bone specially. Although I gnawed it down to the bones, these are the bones of a silverback jackal and are rich in nutrients." There were other voices nearby shouting, "All go. Brother Liang is really nice to his old classmates. Such nutritious dog bones are reserved exclusively for Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi is so lucky." The tumor worms further away were whispering, "Why do I feel like Chen Liang and this Zhang Yi are having some sort of feud? Of course there is a festival. Didn't you see that there's no meat on that dog bone? This Chun Chun is just insulting Zhang Yi. I heard that Chen Liang and Zhang Yi seemed to have chased the same girl when they were in college. It's not like he chased the same girl. It should be said that Chen Liang harassed Guo Zhang Yi's girlfriend. Tisk tisk, do you know who Zhang Yi's girlfriend was at the time? Who? Chong Jiaowei. Quote question mark question mark question mark. What? Chong Jiaowei. Is this the Chong Jiaowei I know? Is it Chong Jiaowei who ranks first on Zhangcheng's longevity list? The four major forces in Zhangcheng are treating them like guests, and the only one who has mastered the method of refining the longevity pill is Chong Jiaowei, the #1 alchemist in Zhangcheng. Chong Jiaowei's title is quite astonishing. So much so that at this moment, no one dares to believe it. Such a proud daughter of heaven who is aloof and has unlimited future. Have you ever interacted with the shady tumor worm in this underground garage? But if you think about it carefully, it's not unbelievable. After all, the advent of the Doomsday Game and the Wheel of Fortune is only a month away. In this month, the whole world has undergone earth-shaking changes. Human circumstances are also vastly different. For example, this Chen Liang, I heard that he was still a rich second generation before the end. As a result, in the end of the world, they are reduced to the lowest level of tumor worms. They have neither enough food nor clothing to keep them warm, so they can only eat and wait to die. For example, He Zheng, the president of Lot Club, was said to be just an ordinary doorman before the end. As a result, now, he is one of the top 100 strong men on Zhangcheng's combat power list. Chong Jiaowei is in her current situation only because she was lucky enough to pull out the longevity elixir from the wheel. Therefore, it would not be difficult to understand if, before the end of the world, the proud girl had such a good-for-nothing boyfriend. Thinking of this, many, stupid bugs, in the garage couldn't help but come over to see what this good-for-nothing Zhang Yi looked like. He looks quite handsome, but he looked too weak. He probably only has a few days left to live. The tumor worms were commenting secretly in their hearts. But suddenly I saw, that good-for-nothing Zhang Yi suddenly opened his eyes. That look, like a ghost, scanned the people present. He even shouted to Chen Liang in disbelief, Chen Liang, are you Chen Liang? Didn't you starve to death long ago? As soon as these words came out, Chen Liang's face turned extremely ugly. I'm alive and well, you fool is the one who's about to starve to death. While cursing, he kicked away the dog bone thrown next to Zhang Yi. Starve to death, you fool. Don't think I don't know, you only have 1 year left to live. A mere 1 year lifespan, even the fate wheel, is only enough to activate the lowest level white wheel. In a few days, I'll be waiting to collect your body. Zhang Yi was completely confused when he heard Chen Liang's cursing voice. A horrifying thought flashed through his mind. Then he called out from the bottom of his heart, data panel. Immediately, after a doomsday game came, the data panel owned by everyone appeared in his field of vision. Name, Zhang Yi. Level, 0. Lifespan, 1 year 038 days. Level 0. Lifespan of 1 year and 38 days. Plus, this underground garage has a stinky environment. This. Zhang Yi's hands trembled slightly. He finally realized, he seems to be reborn. The rebirth went back to the last month, when I was about to starve to death in the underground garage of the Lot Club. Grass. Realizing this, Zhang Yi, who had just woken up, almost fainted from anger. Is this opportunity of rebirth a good one? Of course it's too good to say anything. But this time of his rebirth is too bad, right? Can't he be reborn before the end of the game? Then he can stock up on supplies. Even if you are reborn until the end of the game, then he can also seize the opportunity and change his destiny. Even if he was reborn before the immortality pill was stolen by Chong Jiaowei, then he can also thrive by relying on his ability to refine the immortality pill. No matter how bad it is, before he is reborn and desperately saves Tang Ke, the villain who took revenge for his kindness, he has avenged his past life. But the time of his rebirth was 1 month after the end of the world. The elixir of longevity has been stolen by Chong Jiaowei. Tang Ke, his roommate who repaid kindness with vengeance, has also been rescued by him desperately. These two ungrateful villains are so lucky. And what about him, Zhang Yi? At this point in time, he was not only reduced to the lowest level of the tumor worm, he was dizzy and half dead from hunger. Because of all the previous efforts, he only has 1 year left to live. What can 1 year of life be enough for? It's only enough to draw the lowest grade white wheel once. Moreover, let alone 1 year lifespan. In his current state, 1 day would be enough for him to starve to death. This is crazy. What kind of hellish start is this? This kind of rebirth is worse than not being reborn at all. At least in his previous life, he had turned the situation around. Although the great revenge has not been avenged, his life is not too bad. But now, what? You said you can just reenact the path of your previous life. But God knows how difficult and painful the path Zhang Yi took in his previous life was. That is a life-threatening road where you put your head in your waistband and will burp at any time. So, at this time in his previous life, when he was lying half dead in this underground garage, how did Zhang Yi break the situation? In fact, at this moment in his previous life, he was already desperate. Of course he would not chew the dog bones given out by Chen Liang. Like them, tumor worms kept in captivity by the club. As long as you are willing to spend your life to smoke the carousel, no matter what you draw, you will get guaranteed material rewards from the club. In his previous life, he was so hungry that he couldn't bear it, so he used the last year of his life to apply for the carousel lottery from the club. Even if I die, I will still be a dead ghost. However, I don't know if his luck is good or bad. His carousel draw. Like Chen Liang, he also drew the immortality pill. However, as a tumor worm, naturally, the immortality pill he drew cannot belong to him. But like Chen Liang, he was forcibly taken away by the club on the spot. Originally, according to the club's regulations, He drew the elixir of longevity for the club and should be rewarded with an increase in welfare benefits. But Sun Hao, who was in charge of the longevity lottery, found that he only had 38 days left to live after drawing the prize. So Sun Hao felt that it was really unnecessary to increase welfare benefits for a dying person who only had 38 days left to live. After all, such a dying person has simply lost his final value. Zhang Yi in his previous life noticed Sun Hao's little thoughts in advance. As he became increasingly desperate, he made a bold decision. He decided to join the club's death squad. With the advent of the Doomsday Game, various power groups, large and small, have emerged in response to the time. Lot Club can only be regarded as a third-rate force in the huge Zhongcheng. But even the third-rate forces are already quite standard. In the club, members are hierarchical. At the top of the pyramid are the core members with strong combat power. Those in the middle are formal members with certain combat power and value. At the bottom of the pyramid, there are those who are willing to fight but do not necessarily have the ability to fight. They are members of the death squads, commonly known as cannon fodder. But even if you are a cannon fodder, not everyone can be one. Some scum that have been completely abandoned by the world will be rejected and held back even if they serve as cannon fodder. In the previous life, when Zhang Yi expressed his willingness to join the death squad, Sun Hao directly mocked. If you want to die, I can send you to death right now. And the death squads are not something anyone can enter if they want to. Originally, Zhang Yi's fate should have been settled. However, fate likes to play tricks on people. At that time, Gao Chong happened to be passing by. He stopped and looked at Zhang Yi for a while, and then said to him, I manage a death squad team. If you want to join, just come over. So Zhang Yi joined Gao Cheng's death squad team. Gao Chong was originally, like Zhang Yi, the lowest-ranking Shuzu insect. However, he was so lucky that he actually got a bonus of +1 for all attributes from the Wheel of Fortune. The other cancer bugs all thought that he had changed his fate and became a formal member of the club. But in fact, Gao Chong, who has +1 in all attributes and has no combat experience, is not strong enough to become a formal member of the club. No official team wants him. Finally, he was made the captain of the death squad. However, even among the members of the death squads, many have experienced actual combat and licked blood from the tip of a knife. As for Gao Chong, who had just joined the suicide squad, he had neither combat experience nor the aura that a captain should have. So I didn't do well in the death squads. There are very few suicide squad members willing to follow him. Zhang Yi followed Gao Chong and really dared to die. He could no longer remember how many times he had passed by death. He can't even remember how many times the blood of ferocious beasts and teammates was sprayed on his face. But he seemed to be completely numb. From his expression to his heart, everything is wooden. In such gloomy years, Zhang Yi almost didn't dare to think back on how he got through it. But at any rate, he finally got through those days and got through it. In his previous life, he spent a full month working desperately to save life coins and club points. Finally, before his life expired, he redeemed a white-quality longevity elixir from the club. After taking it, my lifespan increased by 2 years. But he actually knew all along. The elixir he bought from the club. It was refined by Chong Jiaowei. How ridiculous. He actually fell to the point of buying the immortality pill refined by his enemy. However, no matter how humiliated and distressed he is, what can he do? He has to live. Now, in this life. The pain and humiliation of the previous life. Do we have to go through it all over again in this life? Even if he was willing to go through it again. But the question is, when he goes to the carousel lottery again in this life, can he still draw the longevity pill? Can he still be successfully invited by Gao Chong to join the death squad? Or even, in the death squads, can you still be so lucky to survive? It's like the butterfly effect. A slight difference is 1,000 miles away. Even after being reborn. But if he is not careful, he may be in danger at any time. It's even possible that you won't live as long as you did in your previous life. Thinking of this, Zhang Yi only felt sad. I just hate the timing of my rebirth, it's really too bad. But, there is no way. As soon as it comes, make peace with it. Zhang Yi took a deep breath and suddenly got up from the straw mat with difficulty. Chen Liang and the loser next to him both frowned. What are you doing? Zhang Yi ignored Chen Liang, but turned his attention to a middle-aged ant outside the garage, and raised his voice with difficulty. I want to apply for the carousel lottery. The middle-aged ant doesn't have much strength, but she is not a tumor worm. Just because she is the family member of a core member of Lot Club. With this status, the ant's face is naturally much healthier than the tumor bugs in the garage. The whole person is full of energy and airy. She glanced at Zhang Yi arrogantly and said impatiently, "How much life do you have left? Draw white or green. Smoking the white turntable once will consume 1 year of life. If the green turntable is drawn once, it will consume 10 years of life. There are also turntables of different grades such as blue and purple. Different levels of turntables naturally lead to different things that can be drawn out. For example, it is also the elixir of longevity. The elixir of longevity drawn from the white turntable can only increase your lifespan by a few decades. The longevity elixir drawn from the green turntable can increase your lifespan by hundreds of years. Zhang Yi only has 1 year left to live, so naturally he can't draw the green wheel. He walked out slowly and said calmly, "I smoke a white turntable." Seeing that he didn't hesitate, the ant didn't ask any more questions, spit out the melon seeds directly, raised her chin and said, "Okay, then come with me." With that said, he turned to leave. At this moment, another voice suddenly came from the underground garage. "Aunt Lu, I also want to draw a lottery." I saw the tattooed man who had previously said he had no future as a tumor insect, actually came out of the garage. Aunt Lu glanced at him and asked the same question with the same attitude. The tattooed man replied, "I have 12 years left to live, and I also smoke the white spinner." Aunt Lu nodded and left with Zhang Yi and the tattooed man. After they left, the other tumor bugs in the garage started talking. Didn't Luo Shan just eat the leftovers brought by Brother Liang? What kind of prize is he going to draw at this time? He's not hungry anymore. HMPH, didn't you listen to what he just said? There will be no good results from being a tumor worm. So he is trying to change his fate by pulling the spinner wheel. Hazard, there are so many cancerous worms, how many of them actually change their lives by relying on the lottery? HMPH, I think he just won't give in. It's probably Gao Chong from before and Chen Liang today who irritated him. Some people just take themselves too seriously. They always think that they are the protagonist of the world and that they should be on top of the world. But in fact, they are nothing like that. Obviously, these longevity bugs who have accepted their fate do not think that Luo Shan can change his fate by relying on the lottery. I just think it's ridiculous that he still holds unrealistic illusions. As for Zhang Yi, for such a dying person, even ridiculing him seemed like a waste of time. A few minutes later, Zhang Yi and Luo Shan followed Aunt Lu to the carousel lottery area specially set up by the club. A month ago, the Doomsday game invaded, and the entire Blue Star was digitally transformed. The original land seemed to be crushed into countless pieces by a powerful force, scattered across an endless ocean. The Zhangcheng where Zhang Yi was located was one of the countless small fragments that had been crushed. Zhang City is what this fragment of the city was called before the end. About a year after the end, this area was renamed Qingchuan Base. Including other fragmented areas, they have also begun to be renamed XX Base. The population of each base also began to exchange what they had on a large scale. The Doomsday at that time was no longer a pure Doomsday. It is more like a world that has regained order and revived spiritual energy. Under the new system, welfare homes, schools, hospitals, transportation facilities. The social functional facilities will be re-improved. A new legal system will also be re-established. However, in a world where the jungle prevails, the law is purely used to restrain the weak. The right to speak in the world is always in the hands of the strong. Of course, that was the development trajectory of Zhang Yi's previous life in his memory. Now, the beginning of the end. The Qingchuan base is still called Zhangcheng. In fact, many people still don't know the situation of the world as a whole. There is no exchange of information among the fragmented areas scattered in the endless sea. At this time, Zhangcheng is equivalent to a novice village in the game world. The famous bosses of later generations are still adapting to the new world during this period, working hard to defeat monsters, improve their strength, and develop their influence. After a month of development in the last days, various power groups gradually appeared in the Zhongcheng area. Those that can be called powerful groups have basically developed to a certain scale. It's almost like a guild in the game. These groups that have developed a large scale will basically establish a special, roulette lottery area. What is drawn from the Wheel of Fortune is uncertain. It may be a longevity pill that increases longevity, or it may be a vicious beast that kills people. It's even possible that it's a terrifying beast wave or even a natural disaster. In order to minimize the risk of the carousel lottery, it is naturally necessary to set up a special lottery area. According to the different levels of the carousel, the lottery area is also divided into white lottery area, green lottery area, blue lottery area, etc. Of course, Doomsday Game Invasion is only a month old. Lot Club is just a third-rate small force. Therefore, there are only 3 levels of lottery areas: white, green, and blue. The more advanced purple lottery area is set up jointly with 2 other nearby clubs. The sun was setting at this moment. The sky is as red as blood. The Lot Club, the Shanshui Club, and the Blood Swallow Club surrounded an area with a corner, which was the purple lottery area set up by these 3 forces. The 3 clubs are also considered allies. And this purple lottery area used to be a strawberry base in the suburbs of Zhongcheng before the end. However, the white greenhouses of the past have disappeared. The leaders of the 3 forces are gathered here at this moment. He Zheng, the boss of Lot Club, is tall and powerful, and was a villa security guard before the end. After the apocalypse, his luck was overwhelming, and he successively extracted powerful abilities from various carousels, and established the Lot Club based in the villa area where he worked. Yang Miao, the boss of the Shanshui Club, was a thin figure and a senior high school student in Zhongcheng Suburban No. 2 middle school before the end of his life. So the base of the Shanshui Club was located in Suburban No. 2 middle school. Wang Shuiyan, the boss of the Blood Swallow Club, is a college student who came to Zhongcheng from other places to study. She is also a rare strong woman in the apocalypse. With her appearance, she could probably only score 50 points before the end. But after the apocalypse, supplies are in short supply and the living environment for women is even worse. Without makeup and beauty technology, plus starving, not taking a shower for a month. The appearance of women without strength is mostly at rock bottom and miserable. Wang Shuiyan, on the other hand, is powerful and has sufficient supplies, so she needs to put on a little makeup. In this horrific apocalyptic environment, the original 50-point appearance can be compared to 80 points. But unfortunately, the face can be transformed using makeup technology, but the figure cannot. Wang Shuiyan's figure is almost as strong as the tall and muscular He Zheng. Looking at it from behind, I thought he was a strong man with long hair. At this moment, these 3 big guys are gathered here because of an agreement they made when they reached an alliance. If anyone from the 3 parties wants to open the purple carousel, the 3 parties must be present to protect the law together. After all, the effect of the purple turntable is already quite terrifying. If one doesn't pull out the beast tide or natural disaster, then this entire area will be affected. Protecting the Dharma together is, firstly, to minimize the danger, and secondly, to exchange information. This time, it was Wang Shuiyan from the Blood Swallow Club who proposed the purple carousel lottery. Yang Miao was similar in age to Wang Shuiyan. While blowing out a smoke ring, she smiled teasingly at Wang Shuiyan. Sister Wang is so powerful. How many days have passed? She is going to draw the purple wheel again. Yang Miao seemed to be teasing, but in fact she was trying to find out Wang Shuiyan's strength. Wang Shuiyan naturally would not reveal it. She suddenly turned her body and said in a soft voice, "It's not me this time, it's, brother." A young and handsome man stepped forward. This man's name is Zhou Ming, and he is certainly not Wang Shuiyan's brother. But, boyfriend. Before the end, Zhou Yiming was a top star in the entertainment industry. And Wang Shuiyan is his stupid girlfriend Fan. In peaceful times, with Wang Shuiyan's family background and appearance, it would be impossible for her to have anything to do with her beloved brother. But in this doomsday, Wang Shuiyan has great strength. Zhou Yiming, who was once a popular star, became her boyfriend. Of course, we cannot use the word, reduced. You know, this is the end. People can die anytime, anywhere. In this kind of environment, how many people are vying for Wang Shuiyan's soft rice? And Zhou Ming, who has no appearance, has naturally become the object of envy, jealousy and hatred of those people. It stands to reason that a freeloader like Zhou Yiming should lower his profile in front of Wang Shuiyan, the financier. But Wang Shuiyan is a serious lover. So much so that even though Zhou Yiming had no strength, he did not show any humility in front of her. On the contrary, it seemed that he was Wang Shuiyan's master, and Wang Shuiyan had to obey him in everything. At this moment, Yi Ming stepped forward and faced the two big guys, He Zheng and Yang Miao, and his attitude was not humble. He even directly followed up what Wang Shuiyan just said and proudly said, "It's me who's going to draw the purple wheel this time." He Zheng and Yang Miao were stunned and subconsciously asked, "You smoke the purple wheel? Do you have 1,000 years of life?" Zhou Ming hated the way these so-called big guys looked down upon him. He raised his chin and looked arrogant, of course. Wang Shuiyan was particularly fascinated by his unruly attitude. She looked at little Xingxing like a nymphomaniac and expressed with pride, "I have used the longevity pills I have accumulated to help Brother Yiming extend his lifespan to more than 1,000 years. It's totally fine for him to smoke the purple wheel now. And the purple wheel in my hand even has an elixir of longevity among the reward options. That's the purple elixir of longevity. It's more powerful than Chong Zhaoyi's green elixir of longevity." Brother Yiming was praised as a koi carp when he was in the entertainment industry. This time he will definitely be able to extract the elixir of longevity. In this state, Wang Shuiyan is clearly a fanatical fan. Yang Miao and He Zheng's eyes twitched as they watched. He Zheng has an upright personality and just rolled his eyes and complained speechlessly, "You are a woman who usually looks quite normal. Why do you act like you are possessed by a demon when you encounter this pretty boy? Such a precious purple turntable. You still have 1,000 years to live. You actually gave it to this pretty boy for free. What kind of idiotic dog-licking behavior is this? How dare you mention Chong Zhaoyi? Don't you know that Chong Zhaoyi's prescription for the elixir of longevity was given to her by her dog-licking suitor? Now, Chong Zhaoyi is thriving, but where is her dog-licking suitor? I don't even know where in the corner he died. He Zheng is still too honest. He said this because he actually wanted to persuade Wang Shuiyan not to be too in love. It's okay to pet and play with this kind of pretty boy. Really spending resources on training. Aren't you afraid of overturning? Now Yi Ming can be Wang Shuiyan's boyfriend simply because he has no strength and can only rely on Wang Shuiyan to survive. But once he is actually asked to prescribe a purple-level immortality elixir, then he has to kick Wang Shuiyan. Chong Zhaoyi's dog-licking suitor back then is a good example. However, if Zhang Yi were here right now and heard He Zheng's words, he might not be able to help but curse. Who the hell is Chong Zhaoyi's dog-licking suitor? Who the hell gave Chong Zhaoyi the longevity elixir recipe? It was Chong Zhaoyi who stole his prescription. It's stealing, not giving. But it's a pity. In today's world, only the strong can have the right to speak. For an ant like Zhang Yi, He Zheng doesn't even know his last name. It can be summed up simply by saying, Chong Zhaoyi's dog-licking suitor. In fact, in a world where the strong are respected, no one cares about the truth at all. He Zheng just wanted to use this to warn Wang Shuiyan not to be obsessed with love. However, if the love brain can be awakened by a few words, it is not called a love brain. Wang Shuiyan didn't listen to He Zheng's well-intentioned advice at all. When she found out that her brother Yiming looked ugly because of He Zheng's words, she immediately turned coldly towards He Zheng. He Zheng, what do you mean? What is a pretty boy? What is petting and playing with? I'm not just playing around with brother Yiming. I really love him. Why do you slander my feelings for brother Yiming? While talking, she was even worried that Zhou Ming would doubt her sincerity, and she swore to Zhou Ming to confess her love. Zhou Yiming has never seen any beautiful women in the entertainment industry, so naturally he will not really like a strong man like Wang Shuiyan. But the situation was stronger than the person. He gently touched Wang Shuiyan's head and said affectionately, "Don't worry, Yunur, I won't doubt you just because of a few provocations from a villain." When Wang Shuiyan heard this, she was instantly moved. On the side, He Zheng was so angry that his teeth itched. A strong man like him on the combat power list was mocked as a villain by a pretty boy who had no strength and relied on women to make ends meet. This pretty boy is too brave, right? He Jung even had a murderous intention and wanted to send this guy directly to see the king of hell. However, with just a slight thought, Wang Shuiyan was keenly aware of the murderous intention, and instantly stopped in front of Yi Ming, looking at He Jung with an evil look. What you up to? For a moment, the purple lottery area was filled with the smell of gunpowder. Fortunately, Yang Miao is smooth. He simply didn't have He Jung's sense of conscience, and naturally he didn't care whether Wang Shuiyan would be deceived and used by Zhou Ming. So he took the initiative to smooth things over and persuaded both parties with good words. After that, the three of them continued to make full preparations for the purple carousel draw. Zhang Yi, who came to the white lottery area of Lot Club at this moment, naturally had no idea what happened in the purple lottery area. However, he knew that tonight in his previous life, a beast wave appeared in the purple lottery area, which directly affected the territories of the three nearby Tianshui Club, Shanshui Club and Blood Swallow Club. In his previous life, Zhang Yigang was invited by Gao Chong to join the Death Squadron. Before he had time to adapt, he immediately went on a mission with the Death Squadron to fight against the Beast Tide. However, the task of resisting the Beast Tide is already considered child's play compared to the desperate situations that Zhang Yi experienced on the edge of life and death in his previous life. Therefore, after being reborn, he decided to continue on the same path as in his previous life. Join the Death Squad, go on missions to resist the Beast Tide, and earn your first pot of gold. And, he remembers, there is another opportunity in tonight's task of resisting the Beast Tide. Although that opportunity did not belong to him in the previous life, but to Luoshan. Before the end of the world, Luoshan was an ignorant street kid who went to internet cafes and played games all day long. He is addicted to games and is not repelled by the coming doomsday. On the contrary, he is extremely excited. He is a mess in the real world, but he does well in the game world. So he always felt that this doomsday game was an opportunity for him to change his fate against the odds. It's a pity that God did not fulfill his wish. In this doomsday game, one cannot change one's fate simply by having good game skills. Here, what is more important than talent and hard work? It's luck. If you are lucky, you will get something good from the turntable and your strength will become stronger. Otherwise, no matter how hard you try, you will just die faster. Luoshan's luck was obviously not very good, so he did very poorly. At this time in his previous life, he, like Zhang Yi, applied to Aunt Lu for the carousel lottery. But he didn't pull out the good stuff. Later, Zhang Yi joined Gao Cheng's death squad, and Luoshan also gritted his teeth and joined. However, Luoshan unexpectedly saved Zhou Ming during tonight's mission of resisting the Beast Tide. After the Beast Crisis ended, Wang Shuiyan found Yiming and thanked Luoshan. Luoshan immediately seized the opportunity and asked Wang Shuiyan for a chance to be an assistant to Zhou Yiming. Zhang Yi didn't know what happened next. It was only much later that he heard. After Luoshan joined the Blood Swallow Club, he always wanted to eat Wang Shuiyan's soft rice. As a result, not only did he not get a soft meal, but he was resented by Yi Ming. In the end, he was unable to become an assistant and died quietly. In his previous life, Zhang Yi actually had nothing to do with Luoshan or Zhou Ming. If he robs Luoshan of his opportunity in this life, it can be regarded as saving Luoshan's life in disguise. However, he himself will definitely not be an assistant to Yi Ming. A pre-apocalyptic celebrity assistant is undignified enough. In this apocalyptic environment, who knows how Zhou Ming will not treat people as human beings. However, as an assistant, he should be able to make other requests to Wang Shuiyan. Wang Shuiyan is a lover, and is particularly concerned about everything related to Zhou Ming. I will naturally express my gratitude to those who saved Zhou Ming. Zhang Yi was thinking about the path he would take after his rebirth. Suddenly I heard Aunt Lu's flattering voice. Captain Sun, I brought 2 tumor worms over to draw the white turntable. The guard room in the villa area. Sun Hao glanced at Zhang Yi and Luoshan lightly. Finally, he looked at Aunt Lu and confirmed, both of them smoke white. Aunt Lu nodded repeatedly, yes. 2 white ones. Sun Hao yawned and said lazily to Zhang Yi and Luoshan. You know the rules, right? Before you draw the white wheel, you can enjoy a bag of bread and a carton of milk. But everything you draw will belong to the club. In addition, if you draw extremely valuable props, there will be additional rewards. While speaking, Sun Hao waved his hand. On the table in the guard room, 2 bags of bread and 2 cartons of milk suddenly appeared. Bread is expired, milk is also expired. But it's the end of the world, no one will care about this. Zhang Yi was also really hungry. 3 times 5 times 2 times, you can get your share of bread and milk. After the treatment, I only felt a slight feeling of fullness, and my body was still very weak. Why? Although he didn't do well in his previous life. But at least I have enough to eat and drink. But now he is reborn. Not only do they have to go hungry again, I have to go through the hard life of having my head in my belt again. It's so frustrating just thinking about it. Can't such a good opportunity like rebirth be reserved for those who really need it? In Zhang Yi's heart, there was no joy of rebirth at all. Some are just endless anguish and frustration. But it didn't take long before he smelled really good. After completing the basic procedures, Sun Hao took him and Luo Shan to the green lawn outside the villa area. That's the white draw area. Members of the entire lot club will go there if they want to participate in the white wheel lottery. Sun Hao waved his hand, and a cardboard box appeared on the lawn out of thin air. Stacked in the carton are white turntables the size of bowls. There are so many of them, about 50. These turntables are collectively called the turntables of destiny. They only have a chance of popping up when you fight monsters. Wheels of fortune are all disposable. In other words, it can only be used once. No matter what you draw out, it will be invalidated. On each destiny wheel, 10 options will appear in different proportions. It is also because of the different options that, in addition to using colors to distinguish grades, the fortune wheel is also specifically distinguished by quality by the powerful. Generally speaking, no matter what color the turntable is, it is divided into 6 qualities: perfect, excellent, high, medium, low, and trash. The so-called perfect carousel means that the options on the carousel are all high-quality positive effects. As for the perfect quality turntable, even Zhang Yi in his previous life had only heard of it once. Excellent turntable, at least 8 of the 10 turntable options have positive effects. And there must be more than 6 high-quality positive effects. For example, a bag of bread, a carton of milk, these are also considered positive effects. But in the eyes of the boss, this positive effect is worthless. Attributes, skills, talents, powerful props, etc. are the high-quality positive effects. Generally speaking, the higher the proportion of high-quality positive effects on a turntable, the higher the quality. On the contrary, the quality is lower. Most people who get a high-quality turntable will basically keep it for their own use. Even extremely high-quality turntables can sell for high prices. Therefore, what the club can use for the tumor bugs are low-grade and junk turntables that no one wants. Even lower-quality turntables are rare. Basically all of junk quality. Choose a carousel yourself, fill in the option form, and you can draw directly. Sun Hao still yawned lazily and continued the process. Luo Shan's eyes flashed as he carefully selected from the cartons, and finally chose a turntable with the option of all attributes plus 1. However, the all attributes plus 1 inch option accounts for less than 1/10,000th of the entire white carousel. It's really just a strand of hair. The remaining 9 options almost all have negative effects, such as ferocious beasts, diseases, curses, etc. Fortunately, the negative effects on the white turntable are not too serious. Luoshan made 2 puff sounds and spat on his hands. Then I rubbed my hands together and washed away the sludge accumulated on my hands after not taking a shower for a month. Then, like a devout believer, he carefully picked up the carefully selected turntable. It is conceivable that at this moment, he must be praying crazily in his heart. Ask the high god of fate to have mercy on him and show mercy to him once. Even if it's just once. Luo Shan closed his eyes and swore crazily in his heart. As long as you draw all attributes plus 1 inch for him, he is willing. I am willing to be the most loyal believer of the God of Destiny forever. I am willing to be single for the rest of my life. Willing. I am willing. I am willing to do anything. Let him take it out. All attributes plus 1. Luo Shan screamed hysterically in his heart. When he opened his eyes again, they were all red. His trembling hand suddenly pressed towards the center of the white turntable. Then he shouted angrily, "Pump! All attributes +1. Give me all attributes +1. Bite." A sound came from the white turntable. "Congratulations on your prize. A piece of shit. Grass." When the familiar prompt sounded, Luo Shan's face turned red with anger, and he suddenly threw out the reward that appeared out of thin air in his hand. Then, the white turntable that he was holding carefully as a treasure just now was thrown to the ground and stepped on a few times. He also cursed, "You are a piece of shit. Why? Why?" Luoshan's roars and questions were full of unwillingness. Sun Hao has seen this kind of scene many times. He simply rolled his eyes and cursed at Luoshan, "Okay. Get out of here after you finish. Don't go crazy here." No matter how angry Luo Shan was, he didn't dare to make a mistake in front of Sun Hao, so he could only swallow his breath. However, he did not just get out, but stayed and muttered, "Let's see what this kid can pull out." This kid he was talking about was naturally referring to Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi didn't expect to get anything out of it. After all, even if the longevity pill is drawn, it will only belong to the club, not him. In his previous life, he had smoked too many spinners. I have experienced too many failed hopes. His heart has long been numb. Anyway, as long as you don't hold out hope, you won't be disappointed. However, even if he gave up hope, he was still prepared to carefully select from the more than 50 white turntables. However, when his hand touched the first white turntable in the carton, a reminder suddenly sounded in his mind. Please select the wheel reward you want to specify. 1. Foot odor. 2. Oral ulcer. 3. Weak for 3 days. 4. Stinky water crocodile. 5. Question mark question mark question mark. What the hell? What to specify? What reward? What reward is designated? This shouldn't be what he understands, right? He. Can he directly specify the wheel reward? Real or fake? Could it be that he is hungry or suffering from some kind of paranoia? Before confirming it, Zhang Yi couldn't believe it was true. But this did not prevent him from trying it out with a faint hope. If it were really possible to directly specify rewards. So, he really has to be careful in selecting these junk-quality white turntables. First of all, he excluded the longevity pill and various physical props. Because according to the club's regulations, all the physical objects he draws out do not belong to him, but to the club. In contrast, the reward of all attributes +1, which Luo Shan particularly wants to get, can directly affect the lottery itself. And this kind of reward that directly affects the lottery winner is also the only chance for the longevity bugs to change their lives. It's just that this chance is extremely slim. Hurry up. No matter how carefully you select, trying to pull out good things from the garbage carousel is nothing more than a daydream. Seeing that Zhang Yi took too long to select the carousel, Sun Hao urged him impatiently. In his opinion, it is impossible to extract good things from these garbage carousels. Zhang Yi's behavior is simply a waste of time. Luo Shan, on the other hand, looked at Zhang Yijing's careful selection and felt a sense of sympathy for each other. You kid, you also want to change your life through this lottery, right? I heard that you only have a little more than a year left to live. If you don't get something good this time, you won't be able to live for a few days, right? When Sun Hao heard Luo Shan say that Zhang Yi only had more than a year left to live, his eyes became more contemptuous. Just when he was about to urge him again, he saw Zhang Yi finally taking out a turntable from the carton. I've made my choice, this is it. Luo Shan quickly went over and took a look. I saw that there were 9 negative effects on the turntable. And the only positive effect is Immortality Elixir. This guy has been choosing carefully for a long time, and finally he picked this one. That's not to say that the immortality pill is bad. Of course the elixir of longevity is good. It can even be said that those who can draw the longevity elixir from the turntable will basically make a profit. But that is under the premise that you can control the immortality pill. Despicable tumor bugs like them, even if they draw the longevity pill, they will only be taken away by the club. Therefore, even if you take out the immortality pill, you can only improve your salary like Chen Liang did, but it is impossible to change your fate against the will of heaven. This Zhang Yi, what on earth was he thinking? Could it be that he felt that his life was about to end and there was no hope of survival, so he gave up? It seems so. People like this who only have a little more than a year left to live. No matter what good things you draw out, I'm afraid it won't be able to change your destiny, right? So this Zhang Yi is probably just going to have his last meal through the last lottery in his life. Luo Shan thought he had guessed Zhang Yi's thoughts, but he had no intention of ridiculing him. Rather, there is a sense of sadness and sympathy for each other. Because he can think of it. In the near future, he should also end up in the same fate as Zhang Yi. Although he was going crazy thinking about changing his fate against the will of heaven. But he actually knows it very well. Such a chance is really slim. Zhang Yi didn't care what Luo Shan was thinking. He took the selected turntable out of the carton. However, before I could start the lottery, I heard a voice not far away. Old son, come here and help me. Sun Hao followed the sound and looked over, only to see a gentle-looking young man waving to him. Chengdu, what can I help you with? The young man waved the white turntable in his hand, help protect the law. Because the Wheel of Fortune has a probability of drawing dangerous effects such as ferocious beasts. Therefore, when there is a danger in the carousel options that I am not sure to control, I will ask someone to help protect the law. When the longevity bugs like Zhang Yi and Luo Shan were involved in the lottery, Sun Hao was their protector. If a vicious beast is drawn out, he will kill it immediately. The protector, who Chengdu asked Sun Hao to help, was the same reason. However, the white carousel itself is not very dangerous, and it is almost rare to ask someone to protect it. Sun Hao frowned slightly, but still walked over and muttered, what danger can your white turntable pose? Zhang Yi and Luo Shan also followed behind him to join in the fun. Luoshan is just joining in the fun. But in Zhang Yi's heart, he has his little juju. He secretly looked at Chengdu a few times and felt quite emotional in his heart. This Chengdu was barely a legend in Zhang Yi's previous life. Chengdu seemed to have drawn an option called schizophrenia in a green carousel lottery a month later. Schizophrenia is a disease, so that option naturally has negative effects. But what's outrageous is that after schizophrenia, Chengdu completely changed into a different person. He went from being a gentle young man to a murderous demon without blinking an eye. Not only has his fighting power soared, but his actions have also become ruthless and decisive. He even violated the club's rules and stabbed his teammates in the back while on a mission. Including Sun Hao in his previous life, he also died at the hands of this guy. But in the end, he left the club before the club could deal with him and became a ruthless lone ranger, a cold killer in the dark night. As the saying goes, the weak stick together for warmth, while the strong stand alone. In this doomsday game, all kinds of forces that stick together for warmth can be seen everywhere. But at the same time, there are also many independent strong men who are not attached to any force. When Zhang Yi grows up, he will most likely leave the club and become a lone ranger. But now, he is still too weak, so he can only rely on the club for the time being and grow insignificantly. Pulling his thoughts back from the past life to this life, Zhang Yi's eyes fell on the white turntable in Chengdu's hand. The quality of the turntable is obviously much higher than the junk turntable used by the tumor worm. Among the 10 options, there are 6 positive effects. Immortality pill, space ring, diamond talisman, tang knife, mink coat, bullfrog grilled fish. These 6 positive effects are all quite good. Especially the immortality pill and space ring are quite good among the high-quality options. Sun Hao just glanced at it and immediately guessed, you kid, you want to take out the space ring, right? Chengdu nodded shyly. Sun Hao shook his head slightly. The proportion of options on the turntable for this space ring is too low. And the volume of the space ring pulled out by the white turntable will not exceed 1 cubic meter at most. Chengdu didn't care. Hey, the white turntable only lasts for 1 year anyway, so let's try it. Sun Hao didn't say anything more and changed his words. You asked me to protect the Dharma because you were worried about drawing out the swarm of phantom pink butterflies with negative effects, right? Chengdu nodded. The fragrance emitted by the pink butterfly has a psychedelic effect, and the phosphorus powder on the butterfly wings can also cause paralysis. If there are less than 10, I can handle it myself. I just don't know what the size of this butterfly group is. Sun Hao expressed his understanding. Okay, you can draw it, I will watch from the side. The proportion of butterfly group options is not high, so it may not be drawn. Chengdu nodded gratefully. Then, he clasped his hands and prayed for a moment. Although he is not as crazy as Luoshan before, his attitude is still pious enough. After praying, he carefully pressed the button in the middle of the white turntable and shouted steadily, "Lottery." Soon, a voice came from the center of the white turntable. "Bite. Congratulations on drawing the reward, phantom pink butterflies." Shwashwashua. Sun Hao reacted very quickly. As soon as he raised his hand, a black fishing net-like object flew out of his palm. A large number of pink butterflies appeared out of thin air and were quickly strangled by fishing nets. The whole process didn't even take more than 3 seconds. Sun Hao stopped his hand again, and the fishing net was taken back. The lawn was covered with the corpses of white butterflies, there must be hundreds of them. Chengdu's eyes were disappointed and frightened, and he sighed. "Good guy. Someone told me about Murphy's Law yesterday. I still didn't believe it, but now it seems to be true. Originally, I thought that the group of pink butterflies accounted for such a small proportion on the turntable, so I wouldn't be able to draw. In the end, I just got it. This is really, ah." Sun Hao had seen similar situations many times, so his expression was quite indifferent, and he simply comforted Chengdu. "Okay, just look away." Chengdu also nodded. "Well, it's just a white turntable, it doesn't matter." But just as he finished speaking, he saw a thin young man looking at him with burning eyes. Chengdu frowned slightly and looked at Zhang Yi. "Are you a tumor worm, right?" Zhang Yi nodded and asked Chengdu, "Can you give me the body of the phantom pink butterfly that you extracted?" Chengdu frowned again when he heard this. "Why do you want the body of phantom pink butterfly?" Zhang Yi swallowed his throat, looking like he was hungry, and struggled to spit out one word, eat. "I'm so hungry, I may not have a few more days to live." As far as Zhang Yi knew, Chengdu was a good man with a sense of justice before his schizophrenia. After hearing Zhang Yi's words and seeing Zhang Yi's state, he had no doubt at all, and even felt sympathy. Without hesitating for too long, he waved his hand and said, "It's just a bunch of useless corpses. You can pick them up if you want. It's none of my business if you eat them to death anyway." A look of surprise flashed in Zhang Yi's eyes, and he quickly thanked Chengdu, and then picked up the corpses of hundreds of pink butterflies into the empty bread bag. Looking at his appearance, Chengdu really thought that he could eat phantom pink butterflies. After shaking his head slightly, he thanked Sun Hao and left. He is indeed a good guy, but that doesn't mean he is truly compassionate. There are so many pitiful tumorworms like Zhang Yi that he can't take pity on him at all. Sun Hao didn't say much, but urged Zhang Yi impatiently, "Okay, it's your turn, hurry up and get out." Zhang Yi nodded repeatedly, and then directly pressed his right thumb to the center of the white turntable he chose. And in his mind, a familiar reminder sounded again. "Please select the reward you want to specify. 1. Immortality pill. 2. Insomnia for 3 days. 3. Stuttering. 4. Cross-eyed. 5. Body odor. 6. Blood-eating GU group. 7. Without waiting for the reminder to finish reciting, Zhang Yi recited silently in his heart. "I choose 6. Blood-eating GU swarm." And just after he thought silently in his heart, in the center of the white turntable, a familiar prompt sounded. "Bite. Congratulations on your prize. Blood-devouring GU swarm." Exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark. He actually drew out the blood-devouring GU swarm. It's his designated reward. At this moment, Zhang Yi's adrenaline surged. He seemed to be able to clearly feel that all the blood in his body was flowing to his brain. His head was so dizzy that he was so excited that he was in a state of excitement. He really couldn't believe it. It turned out to be exactly what he understood. He has the ability to designate wheel rewards. This incredible ability. Just thinking about it makes me feel. The future is bright. If someone else's carousel draws, then you're gambling on your lifespan. And his lottery is just like robbing a shopping mall. Get whatever you want, as long as he keeps drawing and drawing wildly. Doesn't it mean that you are directly invincible? The almost crazy joy made Zhang Yi almost unable to hold back his laughter. However, his temperament from 2 lifetimes allowed him to quickly control his emotions. Calm down, calm down. Now his lifespan is only 38 days. Can't even pull off a white carousel draw. Therefore, you have to stabilize your mentality, plan slowly, and plan slowly. These thoughts in my mind were completed almost instantly. After calming down, Zhang Yi's eyes instantly fell on the group of blood-eating gusts that appeared out of thin air. The blood-devouring GU swarm, according to the general perception of players at this stage, is definitely a negative effect. Its nature is similar to that of a ferocious beast. However, unlike the ferocious beasts, the blood-eating GU has almost no attack power, and even the weakest tumor worm can easily deal with it. So at this moment, without waiting for Sun Hao to take action, Zhang Yi quickly used his coat to cover all the blood-devouring GU groups. This reaction speed made Sun Hao stunned for a moment. However, he was stunned, and he was not too surprised. He just said step by step. Okay, just fill out your lottery registration form for me and then you can get out of here. Luotian's form had been filled out long ago and he handed it in on the spot. Zhang Yi was squatting on the ground while filling out the form, and asked Sun Hao, Boss Sun, can I handle these blood-devouring gusts that I pounced on? The appearance of the blood-eating GU is like an enlarged version of blood-red maggots, which is disgusting. Sun Hao listened and rolled his eyes. You can't even eat such disgusting things, right? You can pick it up however you want. Anyway, the club won't want such disgusting things. At this point, Zhang Yi's tense heart finally settled. He quickly stuffed the bunch of blood-devouring GU into the empty bottles one by one. However, when he handed the lottery registration form to Sun Hao, he said the same as in his previous life. Well, Boss Sun, I only have more than a month left to live. There is no point in continuing to stay in the underground garage as a tumor bug. So I thought, could I join the club's death squad? I'm not afraid of death. However, when Sun Hao heard this, he rolled his eyes again. If you are really not afraid of death, or want to die, I can send you on your way now. Suicide squad, do you think it's a death squad that can be entered casually? Even these taunting words are almost exactly the same as in the previous life. And next, in this white carousel lottery area, a figure suddenly walked over. It's Gao Chong. Gao Chong is not here to conduct the white carousel lottery. Rather, I want to gain some insights for myself by watching other people's draws. After all, he used to be a low-status cancer worm, and he knew too little about many aspects of this doomsday game. At this moment, just like in his previous life, he saw Zhang Yi and Luo Shan. He had no impression of Zhang Yi and Gao Chong, but he was deeply impressed by Luotian. Luo Shan has tattoos on his body, and he is not easy to mess with at first sight. Moreover, when he was in the underground garage of the longevity bug, he often talked freely, saying things like changing his life against the will of heaven. Gao Chong thought about his situation in the death squad again. I couldn't help but think about it. How about recruiting Luo Shan into his team? While Gao Chong was thinking there, Luo Shan also fell into deep thought because of Zhang Yi's words. The Suicide Squad. The Suicide Squad is also a place where there is a chance that people can change their lives against the odds. It's just that the death rate there is too high. I don't know how many people just joined today and will become a corpse tomorrow. It was a road that went up a mountain of knives and down into a sea of fire, made of mountains of corpses and seas of blood. Even though Luotian wanted to change his life, he didn't want to die. But, look at this Zhang Yi again. If your lifespan is exhausted, you are not going to die. Luo Shan only has 11 years left in his life. The white carousel can only be drawn 11 times. With that kind of rubbish quality turntable, even if you draw it 11 times, let alone 11 times, even if you draw it 100 times or 1,000 times, you may not get good results. So, Zhang Yi's present is his future. Luo Shan gritted his teeth, his wavering thoughts drifting towards the option of joining the death squads. Gao Chong noticed Luotian's changes and only took a few steps forward. However, he did not speak directly to Luo Shan. Instead, he looked at Zhang Yi and asked, "Did you just say that you wanted to join the death squad?" Zhang Yi nodded fiercely, "Yes." Gao Chong pretended to think for a moment, then said calmly, "It just so happens that I just managed a team of death squads. Are you willing to join?" Zhang Yi's eyes lit up and he immediately said, "Yes." His "yes" was so impassioned. It seemed that he was not walking towards a road paved with mountains of corpses and seas of blood, but a bright and smooth road. Even Luoshan on the side was a little inspired. At this time, Luoshan only hesitated for a short while, and then he also said to Gao Chong, "Brother Chong, are you still short of people in your death squad team? I want to join too." As he spoke, he added, "I'm much better than this kid. I fought in elementary school, was the school bully in junior high school, and was the dominant internet cafe in high school." Gao Chong was delighted when he heard this, and Deng even nodded to let him join the team. However, there was also Sun Hao who had a higher status than him, and Gao Chong asked Sun Hao for advice. Of course Sun Hao didn't care. "You are in charge of your own death squad team. Naturally, I have no right to interfere." In this way, just like the trajectory of their previous lives, Zhang Yi and Luo Shan joined Gao Cheng's team. The difference is, Zhang Yi in his previous life, this time he drew the immortality pill in the carousel lottery. In this life, he drew out the blood-devouring GU. In addition to the blood-eating GU, he also collected phantom pink butterflies. Now, all that's left is the fireflies. Zhang Yi was thinking about his plan in his mind. At the same time, Gao Chong took him and Luo Shan towards a villa. Along the way, he introduced some situations to the two of them. There are a total of 320 villas in the villa area here. The core members of the club occupy the best 20 sets. Official members of the club occupy 120 of them. And our death squad members occupy a total of 180 sets. In addition, there are also some miscellaneous scattered people living in temporary sheds. Speaking of which, there is actually not much difference in welfare benefits between death squad members and official members. The real difference is the danger of going on a mission. Gao Chong thought about it and gave a vivid metaphor. Just like before the end of the world, for the same job with a monthly salary of 10,000 yuan, the death squads were working hard to carry bricks on the construction site, while the regular members were sitting in the office, blowing the air conditioner, relaxing comfortable. In fact, Zhang Yi knew this in his previous life. Luo Shan, on the other hand, listened carefully and nodded frequently. Seeing his interest, Gao Chong continued to preach. As for the members of the club's suicide squad, as long as they upgrade their level to level 1, they can advance to become full members. As he said that, he looked at Luoshan and asked, "Do you know the difference between level 1 and level 0 in the Doomsday game?" Luo Shan, as a low-level cancer worm with little knowledge, naturally shook his head. Zhang Yi knew about it, but he didn't get into the limelight. So Gao Chong took the initiative to explain. "Actually, I only found out after drawing out all attributes +1 and meeting the official members of the club. Those players who break through level 0 will receive an exclusive life chart for Doomsday game when they reach level 1. The initial appearance of the birth chart is said to be like an ordinary coin. But the birth chart can be transformed into any object at will according to the owner's ideas. And most official players transform their horoscope into a mobile phone." When Luo Shan heard this, he suddenly realized, no wonder I often see some big guys playing with their mobile phones. So they are not playing with mobile phones, but with exclusive horoscopes. Yes, Gao Chong nodded, the exclusive horoscope has very rich functions. For example, the regional chat channel. All official players in the Zhongcheng area can speak and communicate in it. For example, the regional forum channel. It is also a place for players to communicate. For example, the regional trading channel. You can complete transactions there. For example, the regional ranking channel. It records the longevity list, combat power list, and level list of our region. There is even a friend channel where you can add each other as friends. In short, the birth chart has very rich functions. It can even be said that only those players who have reached level 1 and have mastered their own horoscope can be considered the official players who have truly participated in this Doomsday game. Gao Chong spoke impassionedly, and Luo Shan's blood boiled even more when he heard it. He couldn't wait and asked, "So, how do level 0 players upgrade to level 1? There is no experience bar on my data panel at all." Gao Chong shook his head slightly and sighed. In this special Doomsday game of ours, upgrading is not as simple as an ordinary game. So many members of the Suicide Squad want to reach level 1 and become official players. Including my current goal, I just want to reach level 1 as soon as possible, get an exclusive life chart, and become an official player. According to the club boss, Currently, there are only 2 ways to advance to level 1. Strictly speaking, it's actually a way. Just use the upgrade life card. There are 2 ways to obtain upgraded life cards. The first way is relatively simple, which is to use a blue or above grade wheel to draw. Of course, the turntable itself must have the option of upgrading life cards before it can be drawn. Luo Shan was shocked when he heard this. Wouldn't the lifespan of blue and above grade turntables be at least 100 years? It takes 100 years of life to reach level 1. Isn't this so magical? Gao Chong nodded sympathetically. When I learned the news, I had the same thought as you. But then I think about it, maybe poverty limits our imagination. Maybe for those powerful bosses, 100 years of life is nothing. Anyway, for us level 0 players, this first way is not easy. As for the second way, it's even more difficult. Do you know where the death rate of the Suicide Squad comes from? Luo Shan heard what he meant and quickly guessed, is it related to the second way? That's right. At this stage, our entire Zhongcheng area is isolated in a vast ocean. In addition, all lakes, rivers, and even ponds in Zhongcheng have become passages for vicious beasts to invade. Vicious beasts can invade our world through these passages, and we can actually use those passages to counterattack the world of ferocious beasts. According to Brother Liao, who told me this, in the world of ferocious beasts, there are endless dangers and endless opportunities. There, even if you don't go to the lottery, you may still get an upgraded life card. Including Brother Liao, he was also a member of the Death Squadron before. It was while exploring the world of ferocious beasts that he accidentally got an upgrade life card and upgraded his level. Only then did he open the door to the new world and become a formal member of the club. And Brother Liao also told me not to be discouraged. Although death squads carry the word, dare to die, the death rate is indeed high. But every member of the Suicide Squad is actually a reserve member of the club. Compared to those tumor worms who are destined to die at the end of their lifespan, after joining the death squads, you really have a chance to change your life. Gao Chong spoke impassionedly, and Luo Shan's blood boiled with excitement. Zhang Yi, the only one who had truly experienced it, was unusually calm. Because he knew that Brother Liao in Gao Cheng's mouth was just trying to paint a picture for him. In other words, the entire club is trying to make fun of the members of the Suicide Squad. The world of ferocious beasts. In fact, in later generations, that place was called the Realm Battlefield. According to the summary of later generations of players, even in the lowest level battlefield, a player must be at least level 5 to have the most basic survivability. But now, level 0 players actually dare to explore the Realm Battlefield. If this is not called dare to die, what is it called? With emotion in his heart, Gao Chong, who was leading the way, had already brought the 2 of them to the door of a villa. The sky was getting a little dark at this time, and Gao Chong lowered his voice unconsciously. This is the villa of my team. There were originally 7 people in the team, but now including you 2, there are 9. While talking, the 3 of them entered the villa. The villa was quiet and there was no movement. In the living room on the first floor, there was a muscular man doing push-ups next to the sofa. Luo Shan was a man who knew what to do. Seeing that the strong man seemed to be very capable, he couldn't help but want to go up to say hello and get close to him. But before he could take action, he was pulled by Gao Chong. What about that? I'll take you 2 to your room first. Gao Cheng's voice was still a little low, and he led the 2 of them up to the 4th floor of the villa. The room he assigned to Zhang Yi was a cloakroom with an area of only 5 or 6 square meters. Luoshan was assigned a study room of 8 or 9 square meters. At the same time, he also told the 2 of them, the members of the death squad are not as easy to talk to as me. If you are fine, don't take the initiative to disturb them. Luo Shan felt strange. Then don't we need to let the existing members get to know each other? Gao Chong felt embarrassed when he heard this. Because when he first joined this death squad team, he told the other members the same thing. Just like before the end of the world, when a new member joins a new group, he has to introduce himself, right? But when he used the same tactics as before the end, he wanted to get to know each other and build a good relationship with the members. The other members looked indifferent. One of the buddies said to him directly and to the point, is it necessary for the dead to know each other? A very cruel sentence, but it's also very real. because the guy who said this died the next day. And Gao Chong was not prepared to say such cruel words to Luotian. He thought for a while, then showed off his airs as a captain, and said in a pretentious manner, members of the death squads need to spend time to prove their strength before they are qualified to know each other. Luo Shan didn't think much about it. Zhang Yi knew, however, that the correct way to say Gao Cheng's words was, the members of the death squad need to prove that they can survive before they have a chance to get to know each other. Otherwise, they are too lazy to get to know each other with a dead person. Gao Chong told the two of them some precautions, as well as the fact that the team would go on a mission at 9 a.m. tomorrow, and then left. After he left, Luo Shan took Zhang Yi and whispered, "Do you think the atmosphere of our death squad is a bit strange? It's quite depressing." Zhang Yi glanced at him and said calmly, "If you can survive until a few days later, you will probably be so depressed." When Luo Shan heard this, his heart skipped a beat. He couldn't help but regret a little. Is my decision to join the suicide squad really the right one? Just as he was thinking about it, he suddenly heard Zhang Yi's voice again. "Luotian, do you want to change your destiny against heaven?" The phrase, change one's fate against the will of heaven, was on Luotian's lips almost every day. And the tumor bugs in the underground garage also laughed at him more than once. So at this moment, when Luo Shan heard Zhang Yi's sudden words, he subconsciously thought that Zhang Yi was also laughing at him. But many years later, Luo Shan would often recall this moment and Zhang Yi's words. Every time he thought about it, he couldn't help but sigh. He shouted every day that he wanted to change his destiny against the will of heaven, but he didn't realize it at all at the time. It was from this moment that the gears of his destiny began to turn. Chapter 11. No, what do you mean? Want to fight, or do you really don't want to live anymore? I haven't killed anyone yet, so I just want to practice with you. Luo Shan was cursing and looking quite energetic. But Zhang Yi knew that he was fierce in appearance and soft in heart. He gave Luo Shan a faint side glance. A word came out of his mouth, literally. Then, he pointedly patted the phantom pink butterfly corpses and blood-devouring GU he had collected. Luo Shan was quite angry when he saw his attitude. But he was not stupid. He suddenly had a start, as if he finally realized it, and asked again. What do you mean? Zhang Yi raised his chin. Go to your room and talk. So Luotian quickly took him back to the room. As soon as the door was closed, he lowered his voice furtively. Don't you collect these butterflies and insects just to eat? Zhang Yi did not answer directly. Instead, while carefully taking out the body of the phantom pink butterfly, he asked leisurely. You brag and chat with those tumor worms all day long. You must have heard of Chong Jiaowei, right? Luo Shan had a strange look in his eyes and was about to use this name to mock Zhang Yibo. But he suddenly noticed, regardless of whether Zhang Yi collected the corpses of the phantom butterflies before or the process of taking them out now, his methods were very special. The appearance of the phantom pink butterfly looks similar to that of ordinary butterflies, except that its wings are slightly larger and wider. When they are alive, they emit a hallucinogenic fragrance. In addition, the phosphorus powder on the butterfly wings also has a paralyzing effect. Although the paralysis effect is very weak, if you get too much phosphorus powder on your hands at once, my whole hand will turn blue and numb. But Zhang Yi, who picked up so many white butterfly corpses, there was nothing wrong with his hands. Luo Shan noticed that Zhang Yi always seemed to be able to accurately grasp the almost imperceptible tentacles on the top of the phantom pink butterfly's head. When doing all this, his movements looked very natural, and his hands were never stained by phosphorus powder. At this point, Luo Shan finally realized, this guy looks half dead, with only 1 month left to live. It may not be simple. He quickly stopped his ridicule and nodded. Of course I've heard of it. Chong Jiaowei is currently the only strong person in Zhang City who can refine the immortality pill. Zhang Yi sneered inwardly after hearing this, but didn't say much. Instead, while continuing the movement of his hand, he slowly said, Then do you know which school Chong Jiaowei went to before the end? Luotian blurted out, Hanzhong University. Zhang Yi asked again, Did you hear about the beast wave at Hanzhong University on the 7th day of the apocalypse? Luo Shan nodded. I heard that a student pulled out the beast tide from the blue turntable at that time. At that time, on the seventh day of the apocalypse, the strength of the vast majority of people was basically similar to that of us tumor worms. The tide of beasts on the blue turntable was a devastating disaster for the players at that time. I heard that the teachers and students of Hanjiang University were almost wiped out because of the disaster. Fortunately, a group of teams, with hundreds of students, managed to escape from the beast tide with a narrow escape. I heard that there is an invincible top warrior in that group of survivors. However, the name of that strong man has not been widely circulated. Even after that, there was no news about his related deeds. There are also rumors that the strong man is probably dead. Hey, Zhang Yi chuckled again. He found a knife and a bottle cap from the room, and scraped the phosphorus powder from the wings of the white butterfly into the bottle cap. At the same time, he said casually, "The reason why that strong man is strong is because he obtained attribute improvements through the carousel lottery." Luo Shan nodded. "Of course. If you can lead people to rush out from the beast tide, you must have pulled out some powerful ability from the carousel to change your destiny." Zhang Yi shook his head slightly and wrote lightly, "He did not change his destiny against the will of heaven. Because what he drew out is not a permanent ability. It's the ability to have a time limit. So, 7 days later, he disappeared from the public. No news was heard again." "That's it." Luo Shan suddenly realized, "Yes. It's a time-limited ability. I remember that I also saw a time-limited ability from the options on the green dial. What a shame that guy is. It took a lot of effort to draw out the ability, but the result is that it is time-limited. No wonder the talent has been exhausted and lost to the public. If he can draw out something good within that time limit, or find a way to continuously improve his advantages, he might really be able to change his destiny. What a pity, what a pity." Luo Shan likes to hear the story of defying nature and changing one's fate the most. When I first heard this story about a failed attempt to change my life, I felt quite emotional. But, he suddenly realized and looked at Zhang Yi with a frown, "You seem to know that strong man quite well. Oh, by the way." His eyes suddenly widened, "You and Chong Jiaowei are classmates. So you are also a student of Hanjiang University. So, you were also rescued from the terrifying beast tide by that strong man, a survivor of Hanjiang University." Zhang Yi raised his eyebrows. "Yes. But it's not right either." Luo Shan frowned. "What do you mean? What's wrong?" Zhang Yi stopped his movements and looked at Luo Shan calmly. "I am the unknown strong man himself. Question mark. Sigma, circle dot operator hollow down pointing triangle circle dot operator, A. In an instant, Luoshan's mouth turned into a round O shape. It took a long time before he regained his composure and said, "Really, is it really fake? You kid, aren't you just bragging?" Zhang Yi didn't say anything more, but said calmly, "What I want to say is, a skinny camel is bigger than a horse. Although the ability I drew out was time limited, at least I was once brilliant. So, let me ask you again. Do you still want to change your destiny against heaven?" Luo Shan stood up straight in an instant. "I want it. I want it so much." Zhang Yi placed the bottle cap filled with phantom butterfly phosphorus powder firmly on the table, and took out the bottle filled with blood-devouring GU. Those blood-devouring GU are still alive and crowded in the bottle, looking like a bottle of dirty blood. After deliberately showing these two things to Luo Shan, he raised his eyebrows and said calmly, "If you want, go and get me a bag of fireflies first." "What, fireflies?" Luoshan looked confused. "No, buddy, I have nothing, how can I get those insects?" Zhang Yi glanced out the window. By this time, the sky had darkened. But the moonlight is bright tonight, making this room not too dark. He turned to Luoshan again and said quietly, "Fireflies are not a rare thing. Many people will collect some specially and use them as lanterns for lighting. Just ask other members of the death squads in this villa and there's a good chance they'll get it." Luo Shan was even more confused. No, Gang Gaocheng's attitude clearly revealed that the members of the death squad in our villa probably don't have a very good temper, right? I just joined the team and am a complete newcomer with no skills. If I ask them for fireflies, they can give them to me. I'm not their parents. Oops. Luo Shan is quite self-aware. Zhang Yi raised his eyebrows. Then I'm not your parent, so why should I help you change your destiny? This statement hits the nail on the head. Luo Shan is not stupid, so he naturally hears the hidden meaning. He thought for a moment and then looked at Zhang Yi fiercely. If I get back the fireflies, I find out that you lied to me. He hummed, with a hint of warning, and then turned to leave the room. Zhang Yi pointed at his back and emphasized, it's best not to exceed 5 minutes. Because there is not much time left before the beast died in the previous life. After working alone for 5 minutes, Zhang Yi frowned and looked at the door. After another small moment, there was a knock on the door, and Zhang Yi went to open the door. Luoshan's complaint came face to face. No, why don't you lock the door for 5 minutes? Zhang Yi didn't explain, but looked at the glowing bag in his hand. There is no doubt that what is in the bag is fireflies. After Luo Shan closed the door smoothly, he said bitterly with lingering fear, I want it from the strong man who is exercising downstairs. I paid a precious cent just for this bag of ghost stuff. Zhang Yi took Firefly's bag and was shocked when he heard this, you actually have sense. Luo Shan nodded somewhat proudly. I picked up a few of them a few days after the end of the world. Zhang Yi nodded, thinking it was reasonable. After all, when the apocalypse first came, many people were confused about the situation. As a result, there are some people who don't pay much attention to the time currency dropped next to the corpse of the ferocious beast. So naturally some thoughtful people took the opportunity to pick up the leaks and obtain the precious time currency. Cents are one type of time currency. The complete time currency system is divided into 6 types. Second coins, cent coins, hour coins, as well as the more precious ones, sky coins, year coins and longevity coins. The conversion ratio of time currency is the same as the conversion ratio of normal time units. 1 cent is equal to 60 seconds. 1 day coin is equal to 24-hour coins. 1 year coin is equal to 365-day coins. As for the most mysterious longevity coins, the number of annual coins converted is different depending on the quality. Those official players with exclusive horoscopes basically use time currency as their main currency when conducting transactions in the trading area. What circulates among informal players are basically small amounts of time coins such as second coins, cent coins and time coins. However, at this stage, because informal players do not have exclusive horoscopes, there are fewer ways to obtain information. Therefore, even if they have time coins, they can easily be cheated by official players when using them. For example, Luo Shan exchanged 1 cent for this bag of fireflies. He was definitely cheated. Of course, this is from the perspective of the current player, he was cheated. Judging from an old player like Zhang Yi who has many years of doomsday experience, he is still taking advantage of it. Because at this stage, the information available to players is extremely scarce, and no one knows the value of the ferocious beast materials themselves. All kinds of ferocious beast materials, only the edible ferocious beast meat can barely sell for a good price. Other ferocious beast materials of unknown use are basically treated as waste and disposed of at will. That's why Zhang Yi was able to pick up the pieces and easily obtain the blood-devouring GU and the phantom pink butterfly. Now the fireflies are also available. He stopped talking nonsense and quickly started dealing with the fireflies. Fireflies are social creatures, and when they gather in large numbers, they look like a ball of light. But the actual volume of a single individual is only about the size of a grain of rice. And it's still uncooked rice. There is a light spot the size of a pen tip at the tail of the fireflies, which is where they shine. Zhang Yi used the tip of the blade to carefully pick through the tiny spots of light. After several seconds, there was a drop of fluorescent viscous liquid slowly dripping into the bottle cap filled with phosphorus powder. There was only a sizzling sound, and the phosphorus powder in the bottle cap seemed to be burning. However, there is too little liquid at a single firefly's light spot. The sizzling movement almost lasted only a few seconds and then dissipated. However, in these few seconds, Zhang Yi broke through the light spot of another firefly, and another drop of viscous liquid dripped into the bottle cap, making another sizzling sound. This cycle goes back and forth. Zhang Yi's movements are smooth and natural. So much so that when Luo Shan first saw it, he thought the operation was very simple. But after observing a few more times, he discovered the light spots of fireflies are extremely small. Zhang Yi's method of breaking through the light spot was obviously not simple. Most people, I'm afraid, can't do it so easily. Luo Shan didn't know what Zhang Yi was doing this time. But in my heart, I couldn't help but feel awe. After a few minutes, the phosphorus powder in the bottle cap was completely burned by the firefly mucus into a dark green liquid. Zhang Yi slowly poured the liquid into the bottle containing the blood-devouring GU. There was another more intense, sizzling sound. I saw that the blood-red skin of the blood-eating GU in the bottle was slowly falling off under the influence of the dark green liquid. After another 3 minutes or so, the blood-red skin of the bottle of blood-devouring GU fell off, completely turning into a pool of dark black thick liquid. The dark black liquid looked like venom. However, Zhang Yi held the venom bottle and said to Luoshan, "Reach out your hand." Luo Shan subconsciously stretched out his hand obediently, but after noticing Zhang Yi's actions, he suddenly retracted his hand. "Are you going to pour this thing into my hand?" Zhang Yi raised his eyebrows. "What the hell? This is good stuff." Luo Shan looked unbelieving. "Why don't you give me the good stuff?" Zhang Yi rolled his eyes, and then poured the liquid in the bottle into his hand. "Okay, I'll use it myself. Don't regret it later." Seeing his posture, Luo Shan regretted it on the spot. "Hey, wait. I'll use it. So Zhang Yi turned the mouth of the bottle again and poured the dark black liquid into the palm of Luo Shan's hand. While pouring, he asked, "How do you feel?" Luo Shan's whole body was stiff, and his voice was hard, hot, numb. Zhang Yi nodded slightly, thinking that there should be no problem, and then ordered Luo Shan to apply the liquid in his hand to all parts of his body. After doing this, about 5 minutes passed. He asked again, "How do you feel now?" Luoshan's face was slightly red at this time, and his voice was slightly breathy. "I feel a little hot, and my muscles are a little swollen and painful." Zhang Yi still nodded. "It's okay, it's normal." However, Luo Shan felt more and more unsure because he had already seen it at this time. This Zhang Yi was clearly experimenting on him. If the test result is positive, that's it. But if there is any negative effect, Luo Shan cursed in his heart. But 2 minutes later, Zhang Yi instructed again, "Now, look at your data panel." "Data panel," Luo Shandang called out from the bottom of his heart, "Data panel." Immediately afterwards, he suddenly stuttered and cursed. I. All attributes have been increased by 5 points. Wasn't I dreaming? All attributes plus 5. What the hell is this concept? From Luoshan's perspective, he actually has no idea what this concept is. But he knows, even on the best white turntable, there is no option like, all attributes plus 5. Even, let alone all attributes plus 5. Even the option of plus 2 for all attributes cannot appear on the white carousel. So, Luo Shan reasonably speculated, even on the more precious green wheel, the option of all attributes plus 5 inches is probably extremely rare. That is to say, others may not be able to gain the ability they pay for 10 years of life in a lottery. Zhang Yi did it so easily. This is so outrageous. Luoshan felt like his brain was going to freeze and he couldn't think at all. But soon, Zhang Yi's words were like a bucket of cold water poured over his head, instantly bringing him back to reality. Don't get excited, this effect of plus 5 to all attributes is time limited. Forehead. Luo Shan tried his best to calm down and swallowed hard. Zhang Yi's expression was still complicated. The time limit is, how long? Zhang Yi. About a day or so. 1 day. That's very strong. Luo Shan's tone returned to excitement. I see that your process of making this black liquid is not complicated. We can wait for the aging to pass, continue to make it, and continue to use it. Zhang Yi rolled his eyes at him. You have a beautiful idea. How can there be such a good thing in the world? That black liquid is called body-building liquid. This version of the body-building potion is easy to make, but it also has many drawbacks. Basically, when you use it for the first time, all attributes will be plus 5, and the time limit is 1 day. The second time, all attributes plus 2, time limit is half a day. The third time, all attributes plus 1, time limit is 3 hours. Then starting from the fourth time, the body's resistance will make this medicine no longer effective. Besides, you don't really think this thing is easy to make, do you? Fireflies are indeed a bad thing. But pink butterflies are rare species and rarely seen. As for the blood-devouring GU, it is even rarer. On average, only 10,000 white turntables can have the option of blood-devouring GU once. And the proportion of options is very low, and the probability of drawing it is no less than if you draw all attributes plus 1 from the white carousel. Therefore, after the market matures, the price of materials produced by white turntables such as blood-eating GU will almost catch up with green-quality materials. This time, Zhongyi unexpectedly found a carousel with the option of blood-devouring GU swarm from the white carousel in Sun Hao's carton. He himself was quite surprised. However, if there is no designated wheel reward this incredible ability. Even if there is this option on the carousel, it may be difficult to pull it out directly. Luo Shan didn't know the reason. After hearing this, he just felt, how outrageous. The blood-devouring GU swarm was harder to extract than the all-attribute plus 1, but Zhongyi just happened to extract it. This. He suddenly looked at Zhongyi with strange eyes. You kid, when you chose that turntable, could you be looking at the blood-devouring GU swarm option? Zhongyi looked calm. I was choosing here and there, but I just felt that the quality of those turntables was so rubbish. Only that turntable contains both the immortality pill and the blood-devouring GU. So to me, it has two high-quality positive effects, so of course I chose it. As for being able to extract the blood-devouring GU swarm, I really didn't expect it. Zhongyi's ability to tell lies with his eyes open is superb. Luo Shan had no doubt at all. After all, who dares to believe that someone can actually designate the carousel rewards? After a brief explanation with Luoshan, Zhongyi smeared the remaining half of the bottle of strengthening medicine on himself. Luo Shan didn't feel anything at first. After all, Zhongyi himself would definitely use such a good thing. However, after a moment, he frowned and said, according to Gao Chong, we won't go out on the mission until 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. So if you apply it again tomorrow morning, you can make more complete use of the one-day effectiveness of this bodybuilding potion. If you apply it now, it means you have wasted a whole night of plus 5 all attributes. Luo Shan looked quite regretful. Zhongyi nodded and said casually, what you said makes sense, blame me for not thinking carefully. At about the same time, Luo Shan and Zhongyi were applying the strengthening liquid. The purple lottery area where the three major clubs meet. He Zheng, Yang Miao, and Wang Shuiyan, the three giants all looked serious. However, Zhou Ming looked impatient and couldn't stop complaining. It's outrageous. I see that the beast tide option accounts for less than 10% of the entire purple carousel. For such a small chance, I have to prepare for 2 hours. If we hadn't drawn out the beast tide, wouldn't these 2 hours of preparations have been wasted? He Zheng had always disliked Yi Ming, so he immediately rolled his eyes at him. It was indeed a waste of 2 hours if I didn't draw out the beast tide. But do you know what will happen if we are unprepared and just happen to draw out the beast tide? You haven't heard of the beast wave that almost destroyed the entire Hanjiang University on the 7th day of the apocalypse, right? At that time, it was just a wave of beasts drawn from the blue carousel, and its power was already terrifying enough. And what you are smoking now is a more advanced purple wheel. One is to pay for 100 years of life, the other is to pay for 1,000 years of life. That is to say, if you really pull out the beast tide, the harm will be 10 times that of the beast tide at Hanjiang University. If adequate preparations are not made, then our three major clubs may all be destroyed by the beast tide. When He Zheng explained these principles, his tone was quite serious. But Zhou Yiming listened impatiently. I'm not denying the dangers of the beast tide, I'm just saying that the probability is small. How could I be so unlucky that I just happened to get the worst outcome? He Zheng was speechless. After rolling his eyes again, he was too lazy to waste any more time with this idiot. However, Yang Miao, before Wang Shuiyan's attack, stepped forward and smoothed things over. No one here wants to really unleash the beast wave. All the preparation work is done just in case, just to have peace of mind. Moreover, this is also an agreement that our three major clubs have made long ago. Now that the preparations have been made, it makes no sense for us to discuss these further. I think the moonlight is just right now, so we can almost start the lottery. Although this doomsday game has only been going on for a month now. But many players have already determined that Carry out the wheel lottery under sufficient moonlight, and the probability of drawing a positive result is higher. I don't know if this rumor is true or not. However, many players prefer to believe in the lottery and prefer to draw money under the moonlight. Wang Shuiyan even hired a feng shui master to select the best lottery location in the purple lottery area. She waved her hand towards the best position, and a booth half as tall as a person appeared out of thin air. What was placed on the booth was a purple turntable as big as a bowl. The appearance of the purple turntable is much more gorgeous than the white turntable. Even He Zheng and Yang Miao, who were very powerful, felt excited after watching it. The more excited they were, the more unhappy they became with Zhou Ming. This kind of pretty boy who relies on women to make a living is actually worthy of smoking such a precious purple turntable. This Wang Shuiyan is really out of his mind. And Zhou Ming's eyes couldn't stop shining when he looked at the purple turntable. Especially when he saw the option, Elixir of Immortality, his heart beat wildly. That is a purple level elixir of longevity. Currently, the only person in Zhongcheng who can refine the longevity pill is Chong Jiaowei. But what Chong Jiaowei masters is only the green level immortality elixir recipe. And if he, Zhou Ming, could master the purple level immortality elixir recipe, then he doesn't need to take this mere blood swallow club seriously. Because when the time comes, the four major forces in Zhongcheng will be competing to recruit him. He will no longer be a pretty boy dependent on women. Instead, he will return to being the top-notch Zhou Ming that Wang Shuiyan could not reach. Zhou Ming couldn't stop his blood boiling just thinking about the scene of him taking out the elixir of longevity. However, before he officially drew the lottery, Wang Shuiyan gave another long-winded instruction. Brother Yiming, remember, if the turntable prompts you to draw a tide of beasts, you must immediately use the teleportation stone I prepared for you. It can teleport you to a safe place for refuge. There is also the positioning compass I prepared for you. Brother Yiming, don't lose it. A purple level beast tide has never appeared in the entire Zhang city. Once it does appear, even if we have made preparations, the scene will probably still be chaotic. Brother Yiming, you must remember. Wang Shuiyan gave many warnings and instructions. Zhou Yiming listened attentively on the surface, but in fact he was cursing in his heart, a tide of beasts and a tide of beasts. These one by one, are they making too much of a fuss? Make it look like he can really pull out the beast wave. How unlucky. Even if he really draws out the beast tide, it will be because of the curse of these three crows. After a while, Wang Shuiyan finally finished her instructions. She raised her hand to perform a hand gesture and threw a halo of blessing to Zhou Yiming before finally reminding him, "Okay, Brother Yiming, you can start." Zhou Ming finally waited for this moment. He had no idea of Amitabha in his heart, so he prayed to various gods and Buddhas before placing his well-maintained hands on the center of the purple turntable. Pump. At this moment, He Zheng, Yang Miao, Wang Shuiyan and others were holding their breath and concentrating at the same time, fully prepared to deal with the beast tide. But deep down in their hearts, they don't actually think that Zhou Ming will really pull out the beast tide. However, Murphy's Law is in effect again. Just listen to the ding sound coming from the center of the purple turntable. Congratulations on winning the reward, beast tide. Real or fake? Did you really pull out the beast tide? Naruto was dumbfounded on Monday. He just said that He Zheng, Yang Miao and Wang Shuiyan were like crows. Very meow. In fact, the faces of He Zheng, Yang Miao and Wang Shuiyan are not good looking either. None of them want to really draw out the beast tide. Especially Wang Shuiyan, she reacted the fastest and immediately exclaimed to Yi Ming. Teleport. Use the teleportation stone quickly. Only then did Zhou Yiming react and use the teleportation stone that Wang Shuiyan had given him in advance. After he disappeared, the three remaining bosses began to act according to the plan they had prepared before. And it was almost 2 minutes after Zhou Ming drew out the beast tide. A loud noise spread throughout the three nearby clubs. Zhang Yi was originally lying on the single bed in his room, closing his eyes to rest. Hearing the loud noise, he opened his eyes, showing calmness and clarity. Luo Shan was currently exercising with the strong man downstairs because he didn't want to let the effect of +5 to all attributes go to waste. He did more than 100 push-ups in one breath without breathing at all, which shocked the strong man next to him. I was just thinking about taking this opportunity to strike up a conversation with the strong man and have a few words, when I heard a loud noise. His whole body was agitated, and he subconsciously said bad. The strong man next to him also changed his face in shock, and said, something happened. What happened? Luo Shan also panicked. The strong man rolled his eyes at him. How the hell do I know? Wait for the news. Wait, Luo Shan was about to ask again. The strong man interrupted him and took the initiative to explain. Those official players can use the chat system of the horoscope to quickly transmit messages. Although Gao Chong is not an official player, as the captain of the suicide squad, he should have contact information with at least one official player. Just as they were talking, the two of them heard the sound of ta-da-da footsteps and hurriedly came down the stairs of the villa. At the same time, accompanied by Gao Cheng's rapid and loud voice. Gather, gather, everyone in the villa assemble. As if he was worried that others would not listen, he added, Brother Liao Yuanfang from the 7th team, sent me a message. Obviously, the name of Liao Yuanfang, an official player, is much more intimidating than Gao Chong himself. Soon, various footsteps were heard, and all 9 members of the team completed their assembly in the lobby on the 1st floor in 2 minutes. Zhang Yi mingled among them, not showing any abnormality at all. Luo Shan, on the other hand, was frightened again when he saw the other members. I just feel like these members of the death squad. One by one, they look too sad. And there are 2 or 3 others who were injured. When Luo Shan came here, he felt a sense of fear in his heart. Was it really the right decision for him to join the suicide squad? No need to question. It must be the right decision. Because now he has the blessing of all attributes plus 5. Now, in this entire team of death squads, I am afraid that even Gao Chong is no match for him. And all this, Luo Shan glanced at Zhang Yi. Then, he calmly sat down next to Zhang Yi. Gao Chong knocked on the table, took out a map, and spoke very quickly. I just got the news that the people from the Blood Swallow Club in the Purple Carousel area have drawn out the Beast Tide. What? Beast Tide, or is it the Beast Wave drawn from the Purple Carousel area? In an instant, the members of the death squads who had been lifeless just now reacted fiercely. The purple level Beast Tide is 10 times more terrifying than the previous Beast Tide at Hanzhong University. 10 times. What is the concept? Just like the difference between 100 years and 1,000 years, it seems that the difference is only 10 times. But in fact, of all of you here, who the hell has 100 years of life? It's good enough to have a lifespan of 10 years. As a result, we, the cannon fodder, who only have a lifespan of 10 years, are now allowed to resist the purple level beasts drawn by a 1,000-year-old. We are a death squad, don't we really want to die? Obviously, the members of the death squad reacted fiercely to this sudden wave of purple level beasts and complained. Gao Chong was not surprised by this situation. He slammed the table. Quiet. Don't worry, everyone. Although this beast wave is at the purple level, our club's boss He Zheng, as well as the Shanshui club boss Yang Miao, the Blood Swallow club boss Wang Shuiyan. The 3 big guys have jointly made full preparations for this beast wave. The loud noise you just heard was not caused by a vicious beast. It's a trap set by the big guys in advance to kill the ferocious beast. So, although the level of the beast tide this time is far higher than that of Hanzhong University, but the strength of our 3 major clubs far exceeds that of the previous Hanzhong University students. Coupled with the sufficient preparations made before the lottery, we can definitely handle this beast tide. Besides, the mission of our death squads is not to rush to the front lines and serve as cannon fodder. Having said this, Gao Chong slapped his hand on the table and pointed at the map he had taken out in advance. Look here, this is the Purple Carousel lottery area, and it is also the most dangerous core area of the beast tide. And here, Gao Chong took a red pen and drew a red circle on the outermost edge of the Purple Carousel lottery area. This is our first line of defense against the beast tide, and it is in charge of the core members of the 3 major clubs. Immediately afterwards, Gao Chong drew a larger yellow circle outside the red circle. This is the second line of defense, guarded by official members of the 3 major clubs. After hearing this, the members of the death squad calmed down. It turns out we didn't just let them die in the beast tide. Luo Shan was relieved in his heart and asked directly, Then what are we, the death squads, responsible for? Gao Chong clicked on the map with his finger and explained. According to experience, the spread of the beast tide is like the ripples formed by throwing a stone into water. From the central area, circle by circle, it spreads to the periphery. Although the first two important lines of defense are guarded by stronger bosses. But the boss is not omnipotent. There will still be some ferocious beasts that will continue to spread outwards and spread outwards. As he spoke, Gao Chong used the highlighter to draw a larger circle on the map. What we are responsible for is the outermost area. However, the strong man who had been training before looked at such a large area and frowned fiercely. In such a large area, our death squad members simply don't have enough manpower, right? Don't worry. Gao Chong gave him a reassuring look and continued to explain. The beast tide in this area has been diluted and the concentration of ferocious beasts is extremely low, so it can hardly be called a beast tide. So today we only need to guard important areas in this large circle. As for other areas, we will wait until the beast crisis subsides before slowly clearing out the remaining ferocious beasts. As he spoke, Gao Chong used his pen again to circle the area where the Lot Club was located on the map, using a black pen to circle a square. The black square forms an intersection with the outermost fluorescent circle. Gao Chong shaded the intersection with a pen and looked at the members. This is where our death squad is responsible. The other members of the death squads breathed a sigh of relief and nodded. Zhang Yi felt relieved when he heard Gao Cheng's analysis, which was almost the same as in his previous life. In fact, this beast tide is not very dangerous to him. What he really cares about is the opportunities that come with the beast tide. Don't look at the fact that he now has the incredible ability of specifying wheel rewards. I also stacked a all attributes plus 5 inches buff for myself. It seems like I can be carefree and invincible. But in fact, he is now facing a very embarrassing situation. That is, his lifespan is only 38 days. 38 days. Even the lowest level white turntable cannot be started once. As the saying goes, it's hard for a clever woman to make a meal without rice. No matter how amazing his ability is to designate wheel rewards, it's no use if he doesn't have the lifespan to draw a lottery. Of course, he could also be in the death squads like in his previous life and fight desperately for a month against the horrific mortality rate. Then save time coins and club points to redeem the inferior longevity pill provided by the club. And that low-quality immortality pill was specially refined by Chong Jiaowei. First of all, this process is too long and laborious for Zhang Yi. Secondly, Zhang Yi no longer wants to buy the longevity pill refined by Chong Jiaowei in this life. So, he must seize the opportunity of this beast tide and let himself have the second chance to draw the lottery as soon as possible. What's going on? Why was it that after the loud noise, there was a sudden bustle and all the club bosses were dispatched? Something must have happened. No matter what happens, if the sky falls, there will always be a tall person to hold it up. We, the tumor-bearing bugs, will definitely be able to sit back and relax. News of the beast tide did not reach the longevity bugs in the underground garage. They just heard the noise, and then saw people from all walks of life in the club moving around. With this posture, something is obviously wrong. However, these tumor worms were not nervous at all. Some of them had nothing to do and ran outside the garage entrance to watch the excitement. Suddenly a voice sounded. Holy shit, look over there. Is that Luo Shan? Why is he walking with the people from the death squad? Good guy. Luo Shan, can't think of joining the death squad. I asked him why he didn't come back so late after drawing a prize. Look, that's Gao Chong. He joined Gao Cheng's team. I think he is crazy about trying to change his life against the will of God. He even wants to lose his life. And that good-for-nothing Zhang Yi actually joined the death squad. Trash like them, joining the death squads. It's just like old people hanging themselves, they think their lives are too long. That's right, they have only joined the death squads for a few hours, right? They have no experience at all, and they are about to go on a mission. If you go out vertically now, you will probably have to come back sideways later. Come back. You can't come back at all. They died outside, and there probably won't even be any bodies left. If you have a good relationship with them, hurry up and take a look at them now. I'm afraid you won't even have a chance to look at the corpse in the future. If you ask me, it's better to be a tumor insect. You don't have to endure hardships, you don't have to work hard, you can just lie down and rot for a lifetime. That's right, like Luo Shan and Zhang Yi, they work hard, but the result is that their lives are not as easy as ours, and their lives are not as long as ours. It's just thankless. Long before the doomsday, I saw clearly. Working for capital is far less satisfying than lying flat and rotting. That's right. You said those people have worked hard all their lives and worked as cattle and horses for capital. What can they get in exchange for it in the end? In exchange, I can't afford to buy a house. I can't afford to live in a hospital. I live like a dog and am nothing. Anyway, I was already lying flat and rotten before the end. Now that I am a tumor worm, it is perfect. Most of the tumors are satisfied with the status quo and are full of contempt and ridicule for Luo Shan and Zhang Yi's choices. On the other side, Chen Liang, who was enjoying the treatment of a single room in the greenhouse, also saw Zhang Yi's figure from a distance among the death squads. Just looking at it from a distance, his heart suddenly skipped a beat. Suddenly I remembered, when the end of the world just came, that brave and powerful man. Zhang Yi, it's Zhang Yi. Chen Liang just looked at that figure, and felt an inexplicable panic in his heart. But soon, he shook his head hard again, cursing and thinking. Zhang Yi was once so powerful, but he was just lucky enough to have powerful abilities. But his ability at that time was limited. Once the 7-day time limit has passed. Now he is simply a pure waste. Yes, waste. Even Chen Liang is a waste. This kind of trash actually dares to join the death squad. He is now on a mission with the suicide squad. It is impossible to come back alive after that. Yes, it's impossible to come back alive. Chen Liang kept comforting himself in his heart, trying to suppress the inexplicable panic in his heart. At this moment, Zhang Yi naturally didn't care at all about those appraising eyes. He followed Wu Yangyang's team to the northwest of the villa area. That was the intersection circled by Gaochong on the map, where the beast tide spread and the club. That area is a camping site with excellent greenery and a wide view. What the hell? What the hell is that? Luo Shan was not used to his first mission. He saw a wriggling black shadow coming from a distance, which scared him so much that his face changed. This exclamation naturally received a lot of looks. Gao Chong kindly explained to him. That's the white silk spider, also known as the Black Widow. If you have the opportunity to go on a mission in the world of ferocious beasts, you will find that this thing is very common in the world of ferocious beasts. Another death squad member on the side added, Black Widow moves fast, and it is normal for the first wave to arrive here. But don't worry too much. This thing may look scary, but its combat power is actually very overwhelming. As long as you are careful not to get entangled in the white threads they spit out and strangle to death, there is basically no danger. Gao Chong also nodded, but this is only the early stage of the beast tide. As time goes by, there should be other types of ferocious beasts spreading over. When you fight, don't take it lightly. This was mainly said to Luo Shan and Zhang Yi. After all, these two are the only newcomers in his team. Luo Shan nodded to show that he remembered, and then asked, what kind of Black Widow is this? Does it have any weaknesses? As he spoke, he observed the death squads that had gone into battle. He soon discovered, Gao Cheng's death squad team is indeed a bit small in number. Counting him and Zhang Yi, there are only 9 people. The average number of other death squad teams is almost 20 people. As for the teams that have joined the battle, most of them fight the Black Widow in groups of 4, attacking the Black Widow's spider legs separately. Of course, there are also individuals who work in groups of 3, 2, or even 1 person. Luo Shan was not stupid, and he guessed instantly. Those who work in groups of 2 or even 1 person obviously have some strength. Just as he was thinking about it, Gao Chong explained to him. As you can see, a ferocious beast of Black Widow's level is considered useless in the world of ferocious beasts. So to deal with them, we don't need to consider any weaknesses. We can just work together to cut off the spider's legs, and then blow the head off. Luo Shan nodded and quickly realized, but Zhang Yi and I. He wanted to say that neither he nor Zhang Yi had weapons, how could he fight the Black Widow with bare hands? However, mid-sentence, I heard an impatient voice coming from behind. You two are the ones causing the most trouble. This voice is Sun Hao. Seeing Sun Hao appear here, Luo Shan was shocked. Isn't Sun Hao in charge of the longevity worm lottery? Why does he appear here? Just as he was wondering, Sun Hao just rolled his eyes at him and said to all the suicide squads. Old rule, if you don't have your own weapons, come to me to get them. Seemingly considering that there were newcomers like Luo Shan and Zhang Yi in the team, Sun Hao specifically added. After the Beast Tide crisis is over, the weapons you each received must be returned. This process seems to be familiar to other members of the Death Squad. Even though there were many people, they rushed to Sun Hao to get weapons. Luoshan discovered again. In all the Death Squad teams, in some teams, almost everyone has his or her own personal weapon, so there is no need to ask Sun Hao to lead them, and the battle starts directly. For some teams, almost everyone needs to find Sun Hao to get personal weapons, such as the team led by Gao Chong. Luo Shan originally arrived here for the first time and didn't understand anything. But at this time, I also vaguely realized. Sun Hao's status in the club seems to be more than just being in charge of the longevity lottery. He seems to be in charge of some low-level supplies. In addition, different Death Squad teams have different strengths. Some teams are strong and some are weak. The team led by Gao Chong is almost the weakest among all the Death Squad teams. Luo Shan used to admire Gao Chong and thought he was great. But now, I feel a little complicated. Zhang Yi was fine. He had experienced these things in his previous life. Now, it's just a matter of driving. He walked to the place where Sun Hao stacked weapons and selected his target at a glance. In fact, the weapons that can be used by suicide squads for free are basically low-quality weapons pulled out of the white turntable. Like knives, axes, sticks and the like. Zhang Yi was about to get the weapon he had chosen when he suddenly heard a sharp taunt. Boy, you don't think you're the only one smart enough to miss a compound bow that no one else dares to choose, do you? Zhang Yi followed the voice and realized that the ridicule was not directed at him. But for Luoshan, I saw Luoshan's eyes shining, like a hungry wolf pouncing on a pure black composite bow with excellent texture. The boy who just laughed at him was holding his chest aside, waiting to watch the show. That compound bow was indeed the most sophisticated of these inferior weapons. But among the many members of the Death Squad, no one dared to choose that bow. The main thing is that it is too heavy. Even the best of the Death Squads would be exhausted within a few minutes if they went into battle with such a heavy bow. Ordinary people who have not experienced special training will get tired after just a few steps of picking up that bow and give up on their own initiative. The sarcastic boy was waiting for Luo Shan to feel the weight of the compound bow and embarrass himself in public. But I didn't expect. Luo Shan lifted the compound bow as easily as he lifted an ordinary light sword. He even waved the bow with one hand, looking excited. This scene made the boy who made the mocking speech dumbfounded. Impossible. This bow, isn't it the same one as before? This scene caused a lot of eyebrows. Many members of the Death Squad looked at Luo Shan as if they were seeing a ghost. Even Sun Hao, who was responsible for supervising everyone's selection of weapons, was shocked. He stepped forward, looked at Luoshan for a few times, then frowned and said in a commanding tone. Show your data panel. The data panel is a piece of digitized information that everyone will have after the end of the game. But this data panel will generally only be displayed to the person when it is called up. Unless a player actively chooses to display it, others cannot see it. Generally speaking, it is extremely impolite to force others to show their data panels. But in this Doomsday game, the principle of respecting the strong is obviously greater than the so-called politeness. To Luo Shan, Sun Hao is the strong one. Therefore, even if he didn't want to, Luo Shan couldn't resist at all. Soon, his data panel was displayed in public. Name, Luoshan. Level, 0. Lifespan, 11 years and 158 days. Talent, none. Occupation, none. Skill, none. Status, none. Strength, 1+5. Physique, 1+5. Speed, 1+5. Spirit, 1+5. Combat power, 108. Hiss, all attributes +5. Combat power over 100. This tattooed guy is actually a hidden boss. What a fool. This kind of all attribute +5 with brackets has a time limit. When the time limit passes, the effect in the brackets will disappear. This guy is just an ordinary person with all attributes at one. But even if there is a time limit, he is already very strong within this time limit. Many people looked at Luotian, full of envy. Even Gao Cheng's expression was a bit horrified and unnatural. And the boy who just mocked Luoshan retreated behind the crowd in shame. Sun Hao looked at this scene thoughtfully. He frowned and was about to ask something, but Zhang Yi suddenly stepped forward and said loudly as if he had been wronged. Boss Sun makes the decision for me. This Luotian, he took all my blood-eating GU and ate it. After that, he got a buff of +5 in all attributes. This buff should have belonged to me. Zhang Yi's words were filled with righteous indignation. It seemed as if Luotian had robbed him of the opportunity that belonged to him. Luoshan was confused at first. However, he was not stupid and quickly realized Zhang Yi's thoughts. So I followed his words and cooperated with the performance. If you eat it, eat it. Is it possible that I can still vomit it and return it to you? Furthermore, the effect of +5 all attributes has a time limit. It's not a permanent ability, so there's nothing to worry about. This posture looked like Luoshan and Zhang Yi were about to fight. Sun Hao rolled his eyes and shouted sternly, "Okay. Stop arguing, both of you." Luotian, right, although this effect of +5 all attributes has a time limit, it can still be considered your opportunity. If you can seize the opportunity, you might be able to grow up quickly. But if you can't grasp it. Sun Hao shook his head and did not continue. His eyes fell on Zhang Yi again. It was obvious that the look he just looked at Luoshan was somewhat kind and friendly. The tone is also much more patient than usual when dealing with tumor worms. But at this moment, when he turned to Zhang Yi, his attitude returned to being cold and indifferent. Zhang Yi, right. You said you wanted me to make the decision for you. Ha, innocence. You have to know that in this doomsday game world, fists are the only last word. The fact now is that the blood-devouring GU was eaten by Luoshan. He obtained the effect of +5 all attributes, but you are still a waste. As a waste, you must have the consciousness of being a waste. You are not qualified to point fingers at the strong. Sun Hao's words were quite serious. The kamikaze team watching on the sidelines also whispered about something. If you are an ordinary person, you may feel aggrieved at this time. He even said harsh words. 30 years in Hedong and 30 years in Hexi, don't bully young people into poverty. But Zhang Yi was a man in 2 lifetimes, and his heart had long been tempered into steel. And he knew that Sun Hao was right. This doomsday game is indeed about the strong being respected. Big fists are the only hard truth. He believed that if at this moment, he revealed the secret that he also had +5 attributes, Sun Hao's attitude towards him would also change. Therefore, rather than saying that Sun Hao is targeting him, it is better to say that he is targeting the weak. Zhang Yi had no idea in his mind. But Sun Hao's words made Luoshan feel embarrassed. When he was hesitating whether to say a few nice words to Zhang Yi took the initiative and said, I made a mistake about the blood-eating GU. But I still hope that Luotian can give me some compensation. As soon as he said these words, Sun Hao's face turned cold again. Just as he was about to rebuke again, Luoshan unexpectedly said, if you need my help, if you need anything, just say it. As long as it's not too outrageous, I can agree. Luoshan himself said so naturally Sun Hao wouldn't say anything more. Zhang Yi glanced at Luoshan. I thought in my heart that this guy was a lot better than Tang Ke, Chen Liang and other ungrateful white-eyed wolves. Luoshan didn't think his behavior was very noble. After all, the fact that he has this buff of +5 in all attributes is all thanks to Zhang Yi. It's human nature to be grateful, right? Of course, if Zhang Yi made a particularly excessive request, he would definitely refuse without hesitation. After all, it is human nature to repay kindness, but it does not mean that he is a saint who can be kidnapped by morality. However, Zhang Yi's request immediately confused everyone present. I saw him lifting a shovel from the pile of weapons. Then he said seriously to Luoshan, you happen to have high attributes, help me sharpen the tip of this shovel. ? Luoshan immediately looked like an old man on the subway looking at his phone. Other onlookers were puzzled at first, and then felt. Is this Zhang Yi deliberately humiliating Luoshan with this request? This broad-mindedness, this magnanimity, is this too low? Even Sun Hao felt that Zhang Yi was too dishonest and was about to beat him again. However, Zhang Yi repeated to Luoshan seriously, I am not joking, but I am really planning to use this shovel as a weapon. But I don't think the tip of this shovel is sharp enough, so I want you to help me sharpen it. Luoshan knew the inside story, so he felt that the possibility of Zhang Yi deliberately humiliating him was really low. In addition, his expression is quite serious at the moment. So, are you really prepared to use this shovel as a weapon? Luoshan had a strange expression. Zhang Yi's nodded seriously and confirmed again. Luoshan thought for a while and then nodded, okay, I promise you. With that said, he turned around and asked Sun Hao if he had a whetstone. Sun Hao couldn't figure out what these two people, especially Zhang Yi, were doing. However, if things could just change like this, he didn't care, so he lent Luoshan a whetstone. Just like that, another little time was wasted. Zhang Yi and Luoshan then took their weapons and went to the front. Many people saw that Zhang Yi's weapon was a shovel, and their expressions were hard to describe. With him in such a state, naturally no one would be willing to team up with him. Luoshan, on the other hand, easily held the compound bow and came close to him and whispered, how about we form a team? I will take you. Zhang Yi gave Luoshan a faint glance. Luoshan didn't know why, but he felt extremely stressed. He is now more and more convinced that Zhang Yi is the rumored strong man who once led the Hanzhong University students to fight out of the beast tide. Although it is a powerful ability, it has lost its effectiveness. But the aura on his body cannot be deceiving. Sure enough, Luoshan was not surprised when he heard Zhang Yi's rejection. All your attributes are +5. It's no problem to fight 2 Black Widows by yourself. How about teaming up with others? This is what rejection means. Luoshan then wisely stopped mentioning the team formation. But he kept an eye on it and deliberately chose a position next to Zhang Yi in the defense line composed of death squads. At this time, the beast tide had not happened for a long time. Many ferocious beasts have not had time to spread here. So their defense here is relatively relaxed at this time. Luoshan stood there and watched for a while, then suddenly drew his bow. Just hearing a swish sound, a sharp arrow shot straight towards the head of a Black Widow. Then there was a bang. One arrow to the head. Luoshan raised his chin proudly, and at the same time felt excited about this feeling of power all over his body. When he was a tumor worm before, he thought it was good to be a tumor worm, at least it was safe and there was no life threat. But now, he finally understood why even though the death rate was so high, those members of the death squads were unwilling to become cancer worms again. Because this feeling of having power, really great, unbelievably cool. If Luoshan wanted to change his fate against the will of heaven, before, it was purely because he played too many games and his second soul burned. So, now he has a seed that wants to become stronger deep in his heart. He wants to gain power. He wants to be strong. He wants to hold his destiny in his own hands. Become stronger. Become stronger. Zhang Yi, who was standing by, also saw the change in Luoshan's mentality. He thought for a moment and then asked Luoshan, have you ever practiced archery? Luoshan shook his head. It doesn't count as practice. I used a slingshot to shoot birds in the mountains when I was in elementary school. When I was in junior high school, I even made a homemade crossbow. Just as he was speaking, his expression suddenly changed and he shouted to Zhang Yi, be careful. Luoshan's reaction was quite intense, as if some particularly dangerous emergency had occurred. However, this intense emotion turned into shock in the next second. Zhang Yi, who was still chatting with him just now, just bowed lightly and casually thrust the shovel forward. The shovel with a sharpened tip was almost touching the ground and shoveled towards the Black Widow's abdomen. Then a hissing sound was heard, and the huge black spider fell to the ground. Black Widows are ground-crawling creatures. Its abdomen is less than 10 centimeters from the ground. And there is also a blind spot in the battle, and it is almost never attacked. And at this moment, Zhang Yi just made a sliding tackle in such an understatement. The Black Widow that launched a sneak attack on him was killed instantly. Although Luoshan himself can kill Black Widow with one arrow in the head. But it still takes a lot of effort for him to string and draw the bow. But what about Zhang Yi? His actions seemed to be an understatement. Even though others can't tell it at all, he also has the all attributes plus 5 inches effect on his body. This scene not only shocked Luo Shan. The other members of the death squad who witnessed this scene were also shocked. Is this kid also a hidden boss? Especially Gao Chong, who was also fighting nearby, looked shocked and blinked hard. You kid, you hide your blue deep inside. Could it be that? Gao Chong suddenly glared. Could it be that you also got the effect of plus 5 in all attributes? No. After guessing, he shook his head violently. You just looked like you could stab the Black Widow to death without much effort. Sudden, Gao Cheng's eyes suddenly fell on the shovel in Zhang Yi's hand. He finally realized in surprise, it's a shovel. Then, he turned to look at the Black Widow's body and suddenly realized. You kid, don't you know the weakness of the Black Widow? This sound shocked all the nearby death squad members. If you just want to kill the Black Widow instantly, there are actually many big bosses among the members of the Suicide Squad who can do it. But if you master the weakness of Black Widow, well, that will benefit all members of the Death Squad. In an instant, all eyes fell on Zhang Yi. The meaning of those excited and passionate eyes is self-evident. Zhang Yi was not prepared to hide his secrets. After all, a ferocious beast like Black Widow is indeed very low level. Players with a little bit of strength can easily hit the head with one blow without considering any weak points to attack. That is to say, these weak Death Squad members need to consider weak point attacks to improve the efficiency of killing monsters. So he did not shy away and said generously, as you may think, the reason why I was able to kill the Black Widow with one blow was precisely because I hit its weakness accurately. The abdomens of these Black Widows have a pair of raised areas called textile organs. There are many textile tubes on them that are connected to the silk glands in the body. And that pair of textiles is also the weakness of the Black Widow. Even the reason why Black Widows crawl close to the ground is to protect their weak points. After hearing this, everyone looked astonished. So that's it. But the Black Widow is so close to the ground, and it doesn't seem that easy to hit its weak point accurately. As they said that, their eyes finally fell on the shovel in Zhang Yi's hand. At this point, these people finally understood. It turns out that when Zhang Yi asked Luo Shan to help him polish his shovel, he really didn't mean to make things difficult. But this shovel is really effective in dealing with the weakness of the Black Widow. So, after a group of people hurriedly thanked Zhang Yi, they all ran to Sun Hao to apply for a change of weapons. The place where Sun Hao is located can be regarded as the last part of this battle line of defense. He was quite far away from Zhang Yi, so naturally he didn't know what happened there. Just seeing dozens of Wuyangyang people running over, they all picked up long-handled weapons such as shovels and shovels. After asking, Sun Hao was surprised. Zhang Yi, that loser, actually knows the weakness of the Black Widow. Thinking about it this way, it's no wonder he chose a shovel as a weapon. If you are an ordinary person, you may stop here when you think of it. But as a logistics material manager, Sun Hao comes into contact with many people every day. His mind was quite delicate, and he suddenly thought of. Zhang Yi took the initiative to ask him to take the blood-devouring GU. Could it be that he already knew that eating the blood-devouring GU would give all attributes plus 5? Is it just bad luck that this opportunity was snatched away by Luo Shan? It's really possible. Before, Sun Hao had never taken Zhang Yi seriously. It wasn't until this moment that I finally noticed this dying man. Zhang Yi, Sun Hao thought for a moment and then remembered. This guy only joined Lot Club for a short time. But there seems to be not much life left in him. He looks so young, there is no way he only has a short lifespan. In other words, that kid probably had a good experience before joining the club. It was probably that experience that allowed him to know the weakness of the Black Widow and the secret of the blood-devouring GU. So, will he? Do you know any other secrets? Sun Hao thought about it, but did not go directly to Zhang Yi. After all, the Doomsday game has been coming for a month. There are so many people with special experiences. If only Zhang Yi could survive this beast crisis. That only shows that his experience is somewhat valuable. Otherwise, Sun Hao shook his head slightly. Other side, those members of the Suicide Squad who had switched to long-handled weapons, even if they knew the weakness of the Black Widow, were not able to strike accurately at first and kill her with one blow. But after many trials, he gradually became proficient. And when they grasped the weakness, it used to take 4 people to fight one Black Widow, but now, almost everyone can fight it alone. This makes their defense much easier overall. But as time goes by, after all, more and more ferocious beasts are spreading here from the center of the beast tide. The number of Black Widows has increased sharply, and other types of ferocious beasts have also appeared from time to time. Almost half an hour after the beast wave started, Zhang Yi's mood began to get tense. Because he remembers his previous life, which was around this time. The Suicide Squad has its first death. Really, the trajectory of fate coincides with the previous life again. In the originally relaxed atmosphere of fighting monsters, a scream suddenly came out. Zhang Biao. This scream was still some distance away from where Zhang Yi was. He waited for a while before he heard the news came here. There's been a fatality over there. It seems to be a beast more agile than the Black Widow. I heard that not only is it agile, but the beast is also very concealable. It kills people and disappears in an instant. I heard that the Zhang Biao who died was not bad at all times. He was the kind of person who could challenge Black Widow alone even when she didn't know her weakness. As a result, he was killed silently. What can we do? Even Zhang Biao could only be killed quietly. Then don't we, the people, have no power to resist? Don't worry, I heard that Fan Hu's team has begun investigating the mysterious beast. It should be solved as soon as possible. Fan Hu's team can be regarded as the top 3 teams in terms of overall strength among all the Death Squad teams. But the full-scale investigation of this team did not really reassure other Death Squad teams. After all, before the mysterious beast can be truly solved, all of them may die quietly like Zhang Biao at any time. This is the tragedy of the Expendables. In other words, it is the sorrow of the weak in this special era. Many times, they really live by luck. For a moment, all the Death Squads were in panic. Even Zhang Yi felt a little nervous. When he chose the white carousel before, he even gave up the permanent, all attributes plus 1 inch option and chose the time limited, all attributes plus 5. Just to ensure your own life safety to the maximum extent. The other members of the Death Squad can only place their hopes on luck, betting that they will not be found by the vicious beast. But Zhang Yi, he doesn't want to gamble. If you lose the bet, you will lose your life. With the ability to designate wheel rewards, his life is very valuable. Therefore, Zhang Yi did not dare to be greedy at all and only wanted stability. All attributes are plus 5, plus the combat awareness and keen intuition trained in the previous life. If this can still be done by Tong Yingmao, that's really not a problem of luck, but a problem of his own. But in fact, he was not attacked by the Shadow Cat in his previous life. But Zhang Yi knows one word very well, called butterfly effect. From the moment he was reborn, even though the big trajectory was the same as in his previous life. But he changed something after all. The pupil Shadow Cat that didn't find him in his previous life might be. While thinking and vigilant, Zhang Yi also fought. He casually killed a Black Widow with a shovel. But suddenly he saw a flash of white light. Immediately afterwards, Luo Shan exclaimed, Zhang Yi. Good guy, you delivered, shipped, the white turntable is out. Zhang Yi himself was shocked when he saw the white turntable revealed after the white light dissipated. You know, the probability of the lowest level ferocious beast like the Black Widow breaking out of the carousel is extremely low. Probably not even 1%. It can be said that he was very lucky when he discovered the white carousel at this time. However, now that the Doomsday game has progressed, the white turntable is no longer so rare. There are even many junk quality white turntables that no one wants to drive if they are given away for free. When many members of the Death Squads around looked over, their expressions were quite calm. Only Luo Shan, who had just joined the Suicide Squad, would be so excited about Zhang Yi's white turntable. Zhang Yi had exposed countless white turntables in his previous life, so he was naturally calm inside. However, when he walked over and picked up the white turntable, he couldn't help being surprised. At this time, Luo Shan also came over to watch the fun. When he saw the options on the white turntable, his eyes widened in shock, and he said on the spot, "What the hell, this?" Before he finished speaking, he felt Zhang Yi's warning gaze. So Luo Shan quickly shut up knowingly. But there is still envy that cannot be hidden in his eyes. But, while feeling envious, Luo Shan finally remembered. Zhang Yi's current life expectancy is less than 1 year. In other words, Zhang Yi himself cannot use such a top-quality white turntable. So, what is he going to do with this white turntable? Just as Luo Shan was thinking, he suddenly heard Zhang Yi's calm voice again. You stay here for a while I go to the rear to find Sun Hao. With that said, Zhang Yi took the white turntable and headed towards the rear logistics. Soon after, the rear logistics office. When Sun Hao saw Zhang Yi's figure, he frowned subconsciously. If you're not guarding the defense line, what are you doing here? Zhang Yi held the white turntable as big as a bowl in his hand. I just broke out a white turntable from a monster fight. White turntable. Sun Hao raised his eyebrows with a hint of disdain. Even the members of the death squad were so calm when they saw the white turntable. Management like Sun Hao, who is in charge of low-level materials, will naturally not pay attention to a mere white turntable. He thought Zhang Yi didn't understand the market, so he lazily explained. The white carousel exploded by the members of the death squad can be handled by themselves or handed over to the club. Depending on the quality of the turntables turned in, the club will reward certain club points. The maximum number of club points that the white carousel can award will not exceed 10 points. The accumulated club points can be redeemed for the supplies you want from the club warehouse. Even, Sun Hao glanced at Zhang Yi pointedly, club points can be redeemed for longevity pills. Obviously, he also knew that Zhang Yi did not have much life left and urgently needed to save points to exchange for longevity pills to extend his life. However, what surprised Sun Hao was, Zhang Yi still looked calm when he heard the word, eternal life pill. He even said seriously, I am not going to exchange this white turntable for club points. But I want to use it to make a deal with you, Manager Sun. Sun Hao laughed directly after hearing this, make a deal with me. Don't you think that a mere white turntable can catch my eye? The pronunciation of the word, I, has not yet been finalized. Sun Hao's mocking smile suddenly froze on his face. His reaction was almost the same as Luo Shan's, his eyes suddenly widened. Even, he, who has always been calm, couldn't help but curse, this. He was so excited that he almost grabbed it. Zhang Yi reacted very quickly and retracted his hand. Then he looked at Sun Hao seriously and said, as Manager Sun knows, my current lifespan is less than 1 year. So naturally I can't open this white turntable. Sun Hao calmed down after hearing this. Yes, don't panic. This guy can't even start the white turntable. So no matter how excellent this turntable is, he can only trade with other people. Sun Hao calmed down and regained his composure. What do you want to trade? Don't even think about the longevity pill. After all, no matter how top-notch your turntable is, it's just a white turntable. Sun Hao's words were obviously unconscionable. Because the quality of the white turntable in Zhang Yi's hand is not just a matter of the large proportion of high-quality options. What's more important is, on it, there is the option, Elixir of Immortality. Moreover, the proportion of this option is as high as 20%. 20%. This is definitely high enough among the 10 options. And the preciousness of the option, Elixir of Immortality, is even more self-evident. You know, the entire Zhongcheng area has a population of tens of millions. Even if there is a sharp decline after the end of the world, there will definitely still be millions. And the number of times each person draws the wheel can also be multiple times. And so many people have played the carousel so many times. But only one person took out the elixir of longevity. This shows how difficult it is to extract the elixir of longevity. The main thing is that there are very few carousels where the option, Elixir of Immortality, can appear. And in very few turntables, even if this option appears, its proportion on the turntable rarely exceeds 1%. Any turntable with the option of Elixir of Immortality will have a higher value than an ordinary turntable. And on Zhang Yi's top-quality white turntable, the proportion of longevity elixir recipes is as high as 20%. Its value is naturally self-evident. It is no exaggeration to say that if Sun Hao hangs this white turntable in the official players' trading area, maybe someone really would be willing to use a low-quality longevity elixir in exchange for this turntable. However, Sun Hao would certainly not take the initiative to tell Zhang Yi about these truths. After all, He wanted to lower the price. However, Zhang Yi is not a rookie who knows nothing. He knows the value of this turntable better than Sun Hao. However, he knew that he was a man of few words and could not really sell the turntable for its original value. In fact, he had no intention of using this turntable to exchange for inferior longevity pills. After all, the low-quality immortality pills currently on the market in Zhongcheng were all refined by Chong Jiaowei. He had already sworn in his heart that he would never use the elixir refined by Chong Jiaowei again in this life. Therefore, Zhang Yi did not argue with Sun Hao, but directly stated, "I want to use this white turntable to exchange for a white lottery ticket." White raffle ticket. Sun Hao was stunned for a moment. White lottery tickets are actually not that precious. Its effect is to offset the life consumption of a white carousel draw. From this perspective, the value of a white lottery ticket seems to be equivalent to 1 year of life. But in fact, its real value should be slightly less than 1 year of life. After all, the relationship between white lottery tickets and 1 year of life is somewhat similar to 100 yuan shopping voucher and 100 yuan cash. Shopping vouchers can only be used for shopping, but cash has many uses. Sun Hao thought that this kid Zhang Yi was eager to extend his life. But he chose to ask for the white carousel lottery ticket. As a manager of low-level materials, Sun Hao naturally has white carousel lottery tickets. But he was a little hesitant, whether to nod directly and agree, or to beat this guy and deliberately lower the price. However, before he could think about it clearly, he heard Zhang Yi's decisive voice again. "Right now, I just want the white carousel lottery tickets. If Boss Sun doesn't want to, at worst I can find someone else." As he said that, he really looked like he was turning around to leave. Of course, Sun Hao couldn't let go of such a top-quality turntable. After thinking about it, he simply said, "Okay, okay. Seeing that your kid is a bit clever, I agree to your deal." Zhang Yi was not surprised at all by Sun Hao's decision. After all, Sun Hao would definitely make a profit by exchanging such a top-quality white carousel for a white carousel lottery ticket. Soon, the two completed the transaction. Sun Hao handed a white carousel lottery ticket to Zhang Yi and also got the top-quality white carousel. He has obviously come into contact with countless white turntables. But this one is the best one that makes Sun Hao's heart move the most. He was worried that the night would be long and he would have many dreams, so he simply raised his hand and pressed it on the center area of the white turntable. Then, Wenwen shouted, "Pump." After a while, a voice came from the center of the white turntable. "Bite, congratulations on your prize, immortality pill recipe." In Sun Hao's hand, a white scroll with mysterious runes appeared instantly. At that moment, Sun Hao was completely stunned by the intense surprise. Zhang Yi, who was watching this scene from the sidelines, suddenly noticed a cold murderous intention. A swish sound. All he saw was a black shadow passing quickly in front of his eyes. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.